everyone. This is Michael Gibbs, and I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Careers, and we're here for a cloud architect interview demonstration today. Maybe you're looking to get your first cloud architect job, start your cloud architect career, get your first cloud engineer job, your first solution architect job. In any case, we want to help you. Here's the thing. In order to get to that first cloud architect job, you've got to master the cloud architect interview. And employers for cloud architect interviews are looking for a very special set of things. And they're not the kind of things that they look for in a cloud engineer. They're not the kind of things that they're looking for in a software engineer. They are very unique special skills that people look for when they deal with a cloud architect, an enterprise architect, a solutions architect, or any of the wonderful architect careers. So that's why we did this, to really help you see if you're ready to get hired. So if you want to become a cloud engineer and you want us to interview for that, guess what? We will. Want to interview for a cloud architect job? Guess what? We will. And in this free cloud architect interview session, cloud engineer interview session, or cloud computing interview session, I want to help you all get cloud hired. It's my absolute mission in the world to get everyone a cloud architect job or a solution architect or a cloud engineer job that wants it. And this year we've gotten over 100 people hired. There's a lot more than that, but we know about at least 100 of them. And we want to help you get hired too. So before we begin, I want to tell you about some free things, and then we're going to have so much fun with these cloud architect interviews. Remember, a cloud architect interview is required to get that first cloud architect job or that first solution architect job. And I want you to know how to get your first cloud architect job. If you've got questions on cloud architect career development, we'll talk about it. If you've got questions on what hiring managers want, we'll talk about it, and we'll do these mock interviews. And I'll do another one within 4 to 6 weeks to make sure that you're here to get you hired, because I want you all getting hired. So announce a few free things, and then we're going to have fun today. The first free thing that I want to tell you is tomorrow, we've got a completely free webinar on how to get your first cloud architect job. We'll come in, we'll tell you exactly what the hiring manager is looking for. We'll tell you how to leverage your life experience when you don't have real work experience to convince the hiring manager to hire you. We'll tell you exactly how to become the hiring manager's dream hire and exactly what they want. We'll tell you what needs to be on your resume, what employers are looking for, the exact skills you need. We'll even teach you how to bypass HR, get your resume to hands directly in the hiring manager so you can get your first cloud architect job or your first cloud engineer job or your first cloud job, period. I do it once a week for free. I love doing it. People come from all around the world and they tell me, thank you, Mike, I just got cloud hired. So that's completely free tomorrow. Now, in addition to that, we're going to run a completely free Azure Solution Architect Bootcamp in June. So if you're looking for one of these Azure Solution Architect Expert certifications, we're going to do it completely free. And we're not going to torture you with PowerPoint slides with voiceover. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. We're going to have live instruction like a real university. We'll do 20 minutes of classes and 10 minutes of questions and answers to make sure that you maximize your knowledge, just like a real school, because we would never, ever, ever expect somebody to do PowerPoint slides and voiceover and learn. That's just not appropriate. That's not education. 20 years ago, maybe, but not in 2022. We want you to get your first cloud architect job, solution architect job. You need to be properly trained. And we're going to do a lot of this free, live. So sign up for the bootcamp in June. The link is in the description below. And if you're looking to get that first cloud architect job, that first cloud engineer job, if you're looking to master your interview, if you're already working in tech and you're looking to accelerate your tech career, we've got a program for you, and it's 30% off. And you can see what some of our students are saying. You can see the video from one of my awesome students, Romanik Ivan Tambahu today, who got hired by AWS. AWS actually liked him so much they waited 5 months for him to graduate college after they offered them for their job. And of course, he never worked in tech before, but he's amazing, and that's why he was hired. You can see the video last week where we got Raul hired. Raul is a civil engineer, never worked in tech, and he got his first cloud architect job too. And I can give you countless examples, and here's why. Eat right, think right, train right, become exactly what the hiring managers want. Learn how to bypass HR, and you will get cloud hired. So the biggest component to getting that first cloud architect job is mastering the cloud architect interview. Because if you've got the skills, because the knowledge and the capability, then it's up to that interview. So let's talk about that cloud architect interview. So before we begin, I'm going to give you a little information, fill you in, give you a little cheat. Do you know what the hiring managers want? They want the following. They want someone's technically competent. So you must prove technical competency beyond a shadow of a doubt. They want someone that they can trust. Don't lie to them. They're not going to hire you. And trust me, nobody asks a question that they don't know the answer to. Next, they want to know you're safe. Do you want to be that person at Facebook that made that BGP misconfiguration error that took BGP down for 8 hours? No, and no employee wants that either. So they want to know that you know what you know and know what you don't know and can find the answers to things quickly. What else do hiring managers want? Well, they want energetic, enthusiastic, and passionate people. But seriously, think about this. Let me take a selfie. Do you want that person on your team? I don't. I want someone that's energetic, enthusiastic, and fired up, as do all hiring managers. So they want 2 more things, hiring managers, 3 more things, actually. They want people that bring out the best in others. That's your emotional intelligence. And by the way, that's the biggest predictor of your career success and your salary. What are the other 2 things employers want? I'm going to tell you right now. They want someone that's a team player, because all these things are team sports. There's no one person that does it all. There's no such thing as a Rambo. Even the SEALs have 6-person platoons. And the last one, employers want to know you go above and beyond. So the second you say, what's the work-life balance like? The interview is over and they're no longer interested in you. So now you know exactly what employers want. And now you know exactly how maybe you guide these things. So super excited to see you. Tell us all where you're from. I saw Eddie Patrick. I know he's in Cameroon. Let's see where you're from and let's go. So give me all a cloud architect, or where you're located. And we're going to start with the beginning. We're going to begin with a really great person, a really great student of mine, Nformi.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Nformi Ngenge. I live in San Antonio. I am originally from Cameroon. He likes to talk about Cameroon a lot. I work as a security architect right now, and my goal is to expand that skill into the cloud. So I'm extending to a cloud security architect, hoping to work in a multi-cloud environment where I can help customers move into the cloud or out of the cloud or wherever they want to be. I'm thinking that's the last leg in my security journey that should cover all the spaces. Um, I do. I have over 20 years experience in the information technology industry. I've been in security for the past 7 years, from the security engineer to doing solutions architecture and security architecture right now. I'm very enthusiastic about what I do and I love security. I am also an avid researcher in the world of zero trust. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you for the background information. Since you're Cameroonian, happy Africa Day, everyone.
Thank
What a wonderful celebration it is. But let's start with this. So, before me, it's so nice to meet you. Let me tell you a little bit about our organization. Our organization is a massive cloud security firm. We provide cloud security for the world's biggest organizations that, if they get hacked, it could destroy their name, destroy their reputation. Either billions of dollars will be lost or people will die. So now you know a little bit about our company. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure, Mike. Thanks very much for bringing me on here to the interview. I'm very grateful to meet you today, and I'm really thrilled to hear about your organization. Yeah, as I said before, I have been in the information technology industry for over 20 years. In the past 7 years, I have been in the security arena working as a security engineer. I have helped a couple of federal agencies to build different infrastructures, do proof of concepts. And in the past few years, I've been doing consulting, trying to work with different customers in the federal space to solve their most difficult cybersecurity issues and help them with specifically network admissions control, um, zero trust, and building end-to-end security, national security architectures to help with strategic roadmaps.
Fantastic. So, Nformi, it sounds like you've got a good security background there. I'm going to ask you a basic question. Which is a better firewall, the Palo Alto firewall or the Cisco firewall?
Mike, thanks very much for that question. What is the use case for the security firewall? I need to understand that because there is nothing as the best security tool. I need to know what use case or what the business problem in order to look for a solution to give you a good solution.
Fantastic, Nformi. That's what I was looking for. As soon as somebody's got a solution without understanding the problem, I know they're not a cloud security architect. So, woohoo! I'm already happy. So, fantastic. Now, Nformi, let's say I've got a critical web app that I want to secure. From the outside in, what are the things that I would want to do?
If you want to secure a critical application from the outside in, you have to first of all secure the main exit entry into your environment. You have to build a layered security system. First, you have to be, if I want to do that, I need to say, okay, how many people are using this application? What is the application used for? And then I need to understand the traffic. Based on the traffic patterns, the criticality of the applications, then I will be able to figure out specifically what you want to do with that application. Then I can give you a recommendation based on that use case. Just saying securing my application from outside to inside, it may be the wrong tool or the right tool that may not fit the job.
Excellent. So I'm going to give you some information. Let's say I've got a mission critical web application for a hospital and it's running on the cloud or the data center. I don't care, same security. And if that application gets hacked or taken down, people are going to die. And it will cost the hospital, because it's part of a major healthcare organization, millions of dollars, brand reputation, but somebody's going to die. So what kind of things might I need for the ultimate grade of security?
First, I would say with a critical application, it should never go down. So the first thing I will look into is high availability. High availability means I would have to make sure that I put the application in multiple availability zones in different clouds. I may have to put some on my infrastructure to make sure that there is always a path to get to that application. I have to make sure that the connection, the links to the application, I mean, bandwidth connections, they are on point. I can't have latency or delays to make sure that I can get to my application whenever I need it. I need to secure that application like I'm securing my life, to make sure that I keep all the bad guys out of the application, to make sure that only those who need the application use it when they need it, and make sure that it's always available. I need to create systems in the background that can handle the application depending on how much traffic is coming into that environment.
Great, but like, what do you need? What are the tools that you could use security-wise to do this?
So if you were going to use that, I could use a load balancer too. First things I would have to do is I would have to do a multi-cloud. So I need to first of all put you in different clouds. Second thing is I have to have front-end servers that are secure. And then I have to have multiple points of connections, maybe a primary and a backup connections, let's say to Azure, a primary and a backup connection to AWS. I also have to make sure there is security along that path, so people who can spoof into that application can get into it and disrupt our critical operations that may lead to somebody's death. I need to make sure that I can, people who are coming into that application, they are coming from a secure location, they are identified, they are known, and so that I don't have some kind of hackers coming in. I may have a CDN to distribute that traffic, to make sure that I break down any distributed denial of service or DOS attacks. I have to have a firewall that is protecting that application to make sure that if there are any anomalies, any type of malware coming in, it can break it and stop it at that point. I need to make sure that I have an IPS and an IDS to also protect, to catch that anomaly detection. I need to make sure that I have a network admissions control. I knuckle in there to protect the subnets. And I also need to make sure I have a security group that protects the endpoint host. On the host itself, I'm going to harden that host where I'm hosting the web application. I need to make sure I have anti-malware, anti-host protection, patching, shutdown ports, things that I don't need. I need to be able to also collect that data. Just protecting is not enough. I need to know what is happening in my network. So I'm going to push that information to a SIEM tool where you can do analysis, do all kinds of checks on that data to be able to understand the patterns of traffic and who's trying to get in or get out or trying to disrupt my service.
Okay, love that. That's a very thorough, what I was looking for. Next generation firewalls, IDS, IPS system, access control list, security groups. It told me exactly what to do in the server. Love that. Now, here's I'm totally. I think that's great. So, what are you looking to do in your career, Informi?
Mike, I like to work with people and I like to work in an environment that sounds exciting. Based on the description you just gave me, I think the job will be very exciting and will be very interesting. In my job, I work as a team. I cannot do everything and do everyone's job. So I have to deal with people and I have to make sure they are happy. I'm looking to come to your team to help solve your security problem, to work along with everybody, make everybody comfortable like I do today, and make sure that we are a team. I understand sometimes work can get into a way and people get really busy, but I know how to bring people together and how to get the best out of them. I understand since you're a big security company, you have a lot of great guys. I'm thinking when I meet them and we work together as a team, we would build a solid team that would be able to solve your toughest cybersecurity problems in the world, and we people would be talking about it for years to come.
Well, Informi, can I ask you one last question? Why should I hire you?
Because I have the skills and I'm able to work with the people and I'm coming in, I would solve your problem and I would have your back anytime you will need me to.
Cloud hired. That's a definite hire. That's a pass. That would be hired anytime. Want to hear how to make it a little better?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
When you first went in there and you introduced yourself, I'd say I've been in tech now for 20 years. Most of my time has been in networking and security. I'm highly energetic, I'm highly enthusiastic, and I absolutely love technology. But most of what I love is solving customer problems with technology. What you said was perfect. The only difference is I like the sledgehammer approach. Like, I want you to hit them over the head. I'm everything you want. I'm everything you want. I'm everything you want in the first 10 seconds. What do they want? Energy, enthusiasm, passion, competency, honesty. That was excellent for me. Excellent.
Thank you.
I would hire you on the spot. In fact, when you gave me the description of the security, and I wanted to see if you were going to give it to me, you took me everything that I needed to know. And I was so thankful with that. It proved your competence. That's what I'm looking for. And that's why I'm not going to ask a question like, how do you set up an S3 bucket? Because architects don't do that. You showed me the competency. Also, you showed me something I was really concerned about. Which is better? There's no better. There's what is right for the application at the time. That, by the way, is the first question that a lot of architects are asked. And when they pick an answer, the interview's over. Because you can't solve a problem that you don't understand. So good. I asked you, you assessed. You communicated it clearly. It was very obvious to me you knew what you're doing. It's clear to me you want to help my customers be successful. It's clear to me you want to be easy to get along with and improve my business. Cloud hired them for me. I'm so happy.
Thank you.
I mean, you knew tech before, but how long you been with us?
1.5 months, maybe 2 months. No, wow. 1.5 months.
Well, for me. Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Cloud hired everybody. We need to give him a round of applause.
Yeah, that was great. Now you set the measuring stick for everybody else.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a pretty start measuring stick to start from.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, thank you, Informi. You did great. You did great. I'm gonna let you go, and I'll bring the next individual in.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So next we're gonna bring Miguel in. And I think he's got a hard stop at 2:45 for work. So just wanted to go ahead and get him in here. So I'm going to remove myself.
Yep, makes sense.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. A little nervous. Just got nervous. You know, that's interviewing is probably one of my biggest weaknesses.
You know the scariest part? So people have a fear of death, say it's a 7 out of 10, and they have a fear of public speaking, which is like a 10 out of 10, which means the average person in America is more afraid of dying than actually public speaking. So there's that. I'm soft, I'm cuddly, and this is practice. And the reason we do practice is we can train in practice so that in reality we're less scared. Because here's what happens, just to let you know, we never rise to the occasion. When we're stressed, we fall to a level of training. So that's why we're doing these things. Practice makes permanent, so let's practice and perfect practice. What's your background, Miguel?
My background is in tier 2, tier 3 help desk, pretty much.
Okay.
And then I've done a little bit of system admin work, and it has been help desk.
Okay. You've been working and trying to learn the cloud for how long?
It's been over 6 months, and then I just joined about a month and a half ago.
Okay. So you're brand new
Yes.
to learning the cloud. Okay. Sounds good. So, Miguel, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hi, how's it going, Mike? My name is Miguel Bernardo. Currently have been in the IT field for about 10 years and within help desk, tier 2, tier 3, and customer service work.
Sounds good. The customer service is very interesting to me. Could you describe that to me? Because in our world as architects, our ability to communicate, our ability to connect to others, and our ability to present is seriously important. So could you describe that for me?
Yes, I have worked throughout the DoD, Department of Defense, all over Europe, South Korea, Japan, while I was in the military, and just working with vast amounts of different customers from all different cultures, all different parts of the world.
Okay, military. What was your MOS and what branch of service?
I was Army and 25 Bravo, IT specialist.
Okay, so Miguel, first, thank you for your service, and that's a great background. I love people that have traveled the world because they get to understand other people and other cultures. And the reality is, we get to learn from people all over the world. That is fantastic experience. Fantastic experience. You said you're familiar with. Are you familiar with Linux?
I'm not familiar with Linux.
And
But-
that's okay. Totally fine. So let's talk about some basic cloud things. I know you're really new, so let's see where you go. So I need to use a type of storage that's going to attach to a virtual machine. I need the virtual machine to be able to use it, write a swap file to it, and consistently use it. What kind of storage would be appropriate to be attached to this machine? It's not real storage. It's not a local hard disk. It's network storage, but it's going to look and feel like a local hard drive.
I wouldn't be able to answer that question at this moment.
And okay, Miguel, that's fine. Like you said, you're brand new, so there's some training involved. This would be a use case for block storage, so that's fine. Totally no big deal. Could you tell me what a load balancer is used for?
A load balancer is pretty much traffic. It's all has to do with traffic in regards to your network, and it separates all traffic throughout your servers and your network to make sure that everything goes smoothly within your servers.
Okay. That's fine. Let's talk about some basic networking things. What kind of routing protocol do you use to connect to a cloud provider and why?
Well, can you repeat that question?
So when we connect to a cloud provider, we need to use a routing protocol to exchange network layer reachability information or routes. What kind of a protocol do we use when we connect to a cloud provider?
Virtual machine. So you would need it. What is it? What you would need it? See, I'm nervous. Trying to
Take a deep breath. Think routing protocols versus virtual machines. And think, are we internal to AWS? Or are they or the cloud, like is Azure, an internal part of our organization, or are they external to our organization?
external.
And because they're external, there's two kinds of routing protocols. We need to use an external one. There's only one of them in today's world. You know what that is?
I do not.
Okay. No big deal. So let's say we need a file sharing service to connect to 100 Linux hosts. What kind of file sharing service could we use?
I would not be able to answer that question. I'm sorry.
And that's totally fine. It's okay. So what it seems to me is like you're really, really new.
Yes.
But I still like your attitude, and you've been completely honest to me on this interview, which is very rare. So let me gauge you for some other things to see if there's another place that I could put you in this company while you get your experience, while you get your knowledge base. So tell me what happens if I call and I've got a problem with my computer and I'm really angry and it's your fault. How would you address that?
I will maintain calmness within the whole situation. Try to comfort the customer as best as I can. If I can't do that at the time, I will direct them to either my supervisor or someone that is superior to me. so that they would be able to express themselves in what situation that we went through, or whatever discomfort that they have within the fixing of the issue.
Okay, that's totally fair. So I like that. So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm now a problem client. I want you to take care of me. Miguel, I just logged into my computer and it's bad, bad, bad. It's all your fault. I tried to log in. I don't know my username and password, and it keeps kicking me out. It's your fault. What can you do about it?
Sir, I'm going to go ahead and go into AD. I'm going to check what your username, your password is. Do you have a preference on what your password is? Or if not, I'll just send you a temporary password so that you're able to log onto the system. Are you connected to the network just to make sure everything's there? Do you have?
I don't know anything about networking. I don't know. I'm in my house. I set up my VPN. I connected. I think I connected, but I can't get in. It's all your fault.
I don't know.
Keep going. You're doing great.
What steps have you gone through to get to this area of your issues? Have you turned on the computer?
It is on.
Have you tried logging in?
That's what I called you. It's not working.
It's not working. Would you be able to check the back of your computer or your router to see if you have any link lights, which is just lights connecting you to the Ethernet?
I don't know what Ethernet is, but I got a cable plugged into the back, and it is blinking.
So it is blinking. And you cannot log in.
Yeah, it keeps telling me my password's rejected.
Oh, it's saying it's a password.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It says password rejected. It's the same password I use with my cat's name.
Okay, not a problem. I'm going to go ahead and check that for you. I'm going to see if I can remote to your system. If I'm unable to remote to your system, I'm going to go ahead and send a service provider over just to check your system out and see what the issue may be.
Okay. How fast can you do that? Because I got work to do.
It could take up to 24 hours. So
who do I need to speak to? How can we fix this faster?
This is policy, sir. I wouldn't be able to tell you what you cannot do. Policy states that within 24 hours to 72 hours is when we're able to actually work a trouble ticket or a trouble issue. If you're able to submit a trouble ticket, we'll try to get to you as fast as possible.
Who's your manager's name?
Joe Velasco.
I'm going to call him and tell him that I had to wait 24 to 72 hours.
Not a problem, sir.
Gal, you were doing really good, really, really, really good. When you got someone that's unruly,
Yes.
you gotta meet him halfway.
Okay.
But here's the thing. That was pretty solid. So Miguel, here's what I'm noticing. I like your level of communication. You're calm. You're a lot green on this cloud stuff right now, but that's okay to me because you can learn. Really, you're not ready to design systems, but I believe you will be. I really like your military service and think that you're strong for that. But I can't put you in an architect or an engineering role yet. But our support team needs people. I could probably talk to them over there, put you in the support team. You can stay in your architect program, and 6 months later, I'd be interested in talking to you again. How would that seem to you?
That sounds great. Thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, that sounds great to me, sir.
Okay, so good. So a couple of things. When I asked you to tell me about yourself, you did good. But remember, I'm interested in energy, enthusiasm, passion, and competency. I keyed into that customer service background because that's what you had, and that is a massive skill for the architect. I loved it right there. Now, when I asked you some technical questions, I asked you about block storage, you didn't know. I asked you about BGP, and you didn't know. I asked you some rudimentary network load balancer things, and you didn't know. So for you, you're halfway there. The attitude's right, the energy's right, the enthusiasm's right, and no, I don't use my cat's name as a password, but they're the kind of people that are going to call you and scream at you.
Right.
Pound me down to the best of your abilities. The only thing is, when you get a crazy person like that, sir, you know, this is really the best I can do, but who knows? I can see if my manager can help you. Let me get them on the phone. And what's going to happen is you're going to get the manager. Hi, it's the manager. Yes, unfortunately, I can't assist you with this, etc., etc. But I'm the SVP and I've got a project. Okay, let me prioritize this. So they have the people to do it. So get them involved when you can't do it with your current skill set.
Okay.
But good job. Good start. You've only had a month of cloud training. It's going to take you about 8 months to get there, and that's okay. It's a good start. But you know what worked? 90%, 99% of the people I've interviewed in my life have lied to me. I can't hire that. I can hire someone, and have many times. It needs to be trained a little bit if they have the right attitude, energy, and enthusiasm. That military service, by the way, is massive for you.
Yes.
At least 50% of us, if we see military, we'll find a way to hire them because we like them so much. Why do you think I created a program specially for veterans?
Yeah,
It means that much for me.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that's why. And because, you know, veterans have special needs. So thank you. Good start. I'd say you're a couple months away. That's okay. Keep plugging away at it.
Thank you for the
A couple
opportunity.
months later, you'll be there. Let's practice this again a month. Let's practice it again a month from now, and again a month from now, and then I think you're going to be ready.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Miguel. You did good. It's just you maximize where you are right now, and that's the whole goal. Next month we'll do it. By the time we do this 3 or 5 times, you'll be hired, and you'll be real excited, and you're going to love it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Good job, Miguel. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to let you go. And if you'll just go ahead and leave the studio completely, and you can join us over on the YouTube. I'll put the link in the private chat if you can see it on your phone there.
And please join us there, Miguel.
Yep. All right. So let's see. Our next person is going to be Pawan. So there we go. I got him on screen, so let me take myself off screen.
Hello, Pawan. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
What career are you trying to interview for, Pawan? Cloud
Frankly
architect
speaking,
or cloud engineer?
no, cloud architect, of course.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been I've been working as application architect. So yeah.
Okay, big. So that's a massive shift for you. No big deal. So, Pawan, tell me about yourself.
Hello, Mike. Thanks so much for this opportunity. My name is Pawan Kumar. You can call me Pawan. I'm passionate about designing and architecting enterprise solutions which are scalable and resilient. I have been working for 15 years and been architecting and designing solutions which are hosted over cloud. I've got a chance to work on both the product as well as bespoke applications architecture and design. And for last 3 years, I have been working for an automobile giant. And last 2 years of time, I have helped them saving the revenue of 200 million pounds by enabling a capability called software over there. In the world of automobile, this capability is termed as SOTA. And to start with my career, I started as a software engineer, as a developer. I've been into development and then grown into the role of technical lead, and then started working on architecture. I've been working for one of the biggest MNC, which are from USA, and then there I was working as there I started working as application architect, wherein they have their own suite of product from enterprise content management. They're one of the biggest player in that particular domain. And then I have been architecting and designing, as I mentioned, for last close to 10 years. The overall experience of mine is 15 years. And for last 3 years, I've been working for the automobile giant and the applications which I'm designing here are hosted over cloud. So that's the time I started learning about cloud, and for last few months I got excited more about the cloud, and then joined your program here.
Okay, so I don't know whose program that is because I'm in a job interview here, but sounds good. So tell me, let's say I need a database, and I need unstructured data, and I need it to run on multiple clouds because I can't have a single point of failure in a cloud. What kind of options would I have for choices?
So I heard the first part of your question properly, but I think second part of the question I could not probably understand. The first part of question is you need a you need to decide on the database, or we need to provide an option for database for
Well, if you didn't understand the whole question, let me make sure you understand it because I don't want you asking the wrong question. So please feel free to clarify. What I said is we're looking for a database that can accommodate a very flexible schema that can scale to almost an unlimited manner, but I need to be able to use this database across multiple clouds. So what would my options be?
So depending upon the use cases, two databases among which we can decide. One would be Apache Cassandra, other will
Good.
be MongoDB.
Excellent. I just wanted to make sure you weren't suggesting something like DynamoDB or Microsoft Cosmos, because the certification only people, they're going to lock me into a proprietary thing and I'll never get off that cloud, and I can't do it multi-cloud. So good. Totally liking that. So I got a virtual machine.
Yeah.
And the virtual machine needs a hard drive. What kind of storage is that? Something that's like a logical hard drive, even though it's network storage?
Yeah, it's a SAN based block storage, storage area network based block storage.
Good. Why can't I use object storage to a host?
Object storage primarily used for the data, for keeping that data which are static, and it's more important wherein we need to use the metadata part. For example, we have to query, for example, as you mentioned about the database wherein we'll be using big data. Sorry, I'm not talking about big data, but yeah, there could be data lake kind of use cases, or we have to run some Python script to search something. For those kind of use cases, I'll go for, or maybe I have to put a number of video streaming files and then images and things like that. So for those kind of static content, I would preferably use uh, the the object based storage.
Good. So when we talk firewalls, if I want real enterprise grade security, would I use a cloud native thing or would I use something different, especially if I have to deal with 2 to 3 clouds?
Definitely, which is OpenStack. For example, we can go for the firewalls, which next generation firewalls, which have been provided by the giants like Cisco or Palo Alto, or there are many great. So depending upon the use case, we can choose among them, but not go for WAF and all. We should choose from the open source firewalls, which is provided by uh, companies like Cisco, and there are many other great vendors for that.
Good. Okay, just checking. So I've got to add 100,000 users and determine who they are, what they're allowed to do, and track of what they did. If I don't want to manually use something like an AWS or an Azure IAM, and I want something that's going to be scalable that I can run on my data center, run in 2 clouds, what could I use for my user identity and access management?
I will use either Microsoft Active Directory, which is one of the LDAP server, or I can use IBM Tivoli server. Many people don't know about that, but that is one of, I have worked on it. So they are also a great LDAP server. So I can choose any of them. Microsoft Active Directory have grown big, and they have, people are having more knowledge about them, but we can use any of these, Microsoft Active Directory or IBM Tivoli server.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of using a managed service?
Sorry, but I did not understand this question very well, Mike. If
So,
you
what
can.
are the advantages of using a managed service like Elastic Kubernetes service versus the Azure Kubernetes service, as opposed to just creating your own on your own servers? What are the advantages of using a managed service as opposed to having and setting up your own and running your own?
So the advantage of using managed services is agility, I would say. Sorry. Whereas setting up something of your own has its own advantage. Like you have more control. You can. I mean, you have more control. It's a, and and then of course we can enhance and you can do the performance enhancement from your end, and then because you have control over there. Whereas and also if you have to do kind of migration, for example, so if you are migrating from suppose certain applications are hosted on Kubernetes, and then you have to do migration, and right now your applications are completely cloud native, for example, and tomorrow you want to go out and then you want to host your application on pure data center, not on cloud at all. So there will be challenges. So it's a trade-off between these kind of use cases, depending upon what kind of what is your use case and what is your priority, or what's the business priority that architect can take decision, and then, or I would say the organization can take decision and then decide which is good for them as per their use case.
Excellent, Pawan. That's exactly what I was looking for. Last question. Why should I hire you?
I'm honest. I'm a person of integrity, and I'm very energetic. I'm fast learner, and last but not the least, I'm a great leader because I have a great empathy for people. I have great empathy for the people I work with, and also the person I report to, and the person I probably junior to me. So I'm a great leader, I would say, and these are the qualities due to which I believe I'll be a great fit for your organization.
Perfect, Pawan. Okay, so that's another cloud hired. Pawan, you've been with me about 2-3 months?
I've been actually joined the course in mid of March, but I was
Okay.
completely out for a month. So effectively, I would say 5 weeks.
You're doing fantastic. That was exceptionally good. You gave me the architect, not the engineer. I knew you had a tech background, so I was trying to see if you were going to go in the weeds, and you did not. You kept it leadership. You talked about your emotional intelligence. Love that, by the way. You talked about your experience in saving companies money. That's what an architect does. I heard digital transformation, digital transformation, digital transformation. The perfect brand, Pawan.
Thank
The
you.
only
Thank
thing
you
I would
so much,
say,
Mike.
I mean, that was so perfect. I would just say that intro. I'm Pawan. I've been an architect now for 20 years. I'm energetic, I'm enthusiastic, I'm passionate about the technology. And then talk about that digital transformation. Close it a little faster, but it was perfect. It was really great. I would have easily hired you on that one. And every hiring manager that I know also would have.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mike.
Great job, Pawan. I'm so excited. You have no idea. So if Uniforming is ready to be hired, if UU is ready to be hired, I'm so excited.
Thank you, Mike. Actually, I'm planning for certification in month of July, and after that, I'll start doing the interviews. So maybe I have, as per my plan, I have 2 months of time, but I wanted to have a practice of the overall practice I wanted to have here.
And we're going to do another LinkedIn resume building session in the next 2 to 4 weeks. And that way you'll be like everybody else with 10 to 15 recruiters reaching out to them every day. Are you ready to interview? Are you ready to interview? Are you ready to interview?
That will be great, Mike. Yeah, thank you so much.
I'm just so excited, Pawan. That was so happy. Okay, so far my day's made. 2 of you guys were fantastic, and the third one did good, and he's going to learn. So excellent, excellent, excellent. I love this. I love it. Thank you so much, Pawan. Please stay on YouTube. As they say in the art of war, know yourself, know your enemy, and you'll always be victorious. So none of you guys are enemies. We're all one family. But learn you and your competition and get hired. Get cloud hired. Great job, Pawan.
Thank you so much, Mike.
All right, perfect. Good job. Lots of comments there in the chat box from everyone. Yep.
Thank you, Chris.
So yeah, so just join that link that we put in the private chat.
Let's give everybody give hashtag cloud hired for Pawan. That was awesome. And also hashtag cloud hired for Uniforming as well.
Yep. All right, so I am going to remove you and we'll bring in the next person. So the next person, and I may mispronounce this, I believe they're Piera. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Hello, my name is PR Pandit. I want to get into DevSecOps. I'm currently been working as a home health aide for the last 3 years. I want to change careers. That's why I've been attending your course. And I don't want to get certification. I just want to knowledge and prepare for interviews for entry level roles in DevSecOps.
Now,
You're
are
not taking
you?
our course if you're talking about DevSecOps, right?
Huh?
You said DevSecOps. You said you were taking our course. What course are you taking?
The SysOps one?
I don't have a SysOps course. We don't teach it.
Then the cloud architect one. Yeah.
I don't think so, because we don't have anybody that would ever want to do DevSecOps because that's a totally different career. But I can talk to you about DevSecOps,
Oh, sure. Okay.
and I'll have my team check into that because we don't have any DevOps people. Because when they come in, if they ask us, we say we don't train DevOps. So let's verify that. But Pierre, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I have a bachelor's degree in computer science. I did a recent micro credential on web development, and then I did a small bootcamp on cybersecurity. And I've been working in healthcare as a home health aide, but I want to move into IT. But I'm thinking DevSecOps because I have the developer degree, computer science, and some cybersecurity bootcamp experience. So I'm thinking that would be the perfect role for me.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Tell me about code security checks in DevSecOps.
You can do all the bounds checking in SQL or the bounds checking in C++ for string copy buffers, and those are like the codes that you look for in case they bring a vulnerability. So I don't know more, but I hope I'm on the right track, right?
Not exactly, but that's okay. So let's take some other things out of this world. Could you describe Jenkins and how it works and why people would use it?
I'm weak there. I still have to get on Jenkins.
Okay, tell me how, because you said DevSecOps, containers are orchestrated.
I'm still learning.
Okay, could you walk me through a typical CI/CD pipeline from the time the code is conceived to the time it's deployed?
No, yeah, you're right. I still have a lot of learning to do.
Okay, I know very little about DevOps, but to be a DevSecOps person, first I want to talk to you about your background. Your background, by the way, coming from a home health aide, is a wonderful background. Wonderful. I'm also going to tell you DevSecOps is the worst way to take advantage of your career. And you know why I'm going to say that?
What?
As a home health aide, do you know the most important thing you do? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a nurse. And I'm also a nurse practitioner who practices internal medicine. As a home health aide, you take care of people, right?
Right.
Do the people have health problems?
Illnesses, some are
Illnesses, chronic disease, paralyzed, something like that?
Yeah.
Are sad, sick people happy, or do you have to cheer them up throughout your job?
You have to cheer them up. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe guide them into eating, guide them into taking their medications, guide them into taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
You have to communicate with people and families.
Yes.
An architect job is a lot better for you. It'll pay 3 times more over time, and it'll be much easier for you to get. For you to do DevSecOps, the first thing you're going to have to do is spend a year or two and become a great software engineer. Then you're going to have to become a good security engineer, which means learning firewalls, IDS, IPS systems, VPN concentrators, domain authentication systems. Then you're going to have to get really good with those code tools and really, really good with the security tools. It's a good 3 years away to do something like that. Whereas an architecture career you could probably do in 6 to 8 months. And the reason why is you have natural emotional intelligence to deal with healthcare. So let me try and I want to coach you on it because I want to see if we can leverage the good background of your experience to try and see it in something different. Because I come from healthcare and I thank you for taking care of sick people. The home health aide is the hardest job in the world because you got to do all the stuff that the nurses don't want to do and they don't pay you enough to do it. So thank you for your service. What you're doing is amazing. I just want to teach you how to capitalize on your strengths. So, and I know you're not one of our students. We checked our enrollments because we don't have any DevSecOps people. So let's talk about what you could do as an architect. So if I were to tell you that I've got a problem, my father can't swallow or eat properly, what might you think about? What if he has dysphagia?
Any alternatives to like drinking like nutritional shakes that could help him out?
Okay, so the reason I asked you is, do you know what an architect does? They take a problem and come up with a creative solution. So you talked about a thickener, you talked about a nutrition shake as opposed to water. Excellent. Now, the patient's in their house. They're in a bed. They're getting bed sores. What can you do about it? Who do you call? Who's part of the team that gets involved?
I'm not sure what you're leading at, but you can ask for additional services that like senior living. They can take care if he's an old age person. They can take him to places like outside of home, and I think they do those services, fun service.
So that's a great answer. And now there's other answers that I would have answered more as a doctor nurse, but here's the thing. Skilled nursing, yes, you told me, excellent solution. You talked about other places, good. Now, if you had a little more medical knowledge, you could say to treat a decubitus ulcer, we could bring in a wound care specialist, etc. But you are there. I gave you a problem and you found solutions. Excellent. How do you convince someone that doesn't feel like eating how to eat? What do you do?
Give him alternatives like nutritional shakes. There's Glucerna and then Ensure.
Is there anything else you have to do? Like, what do you do as a person to that person that's not real hungry?
You convince them you have to eat for continuing to live.
How do you do that? Keep going. This is good. This is the good stuff that I'm looking for.
You talk them into it.
By doing what? Do you change your vocal tone? Do you ask questions? How do you connect to them? This is the architect piece I'm asking you.
You communicate with them. You don't force them, but make them comfortable. Make them, want to eat again by giving the food that they like, giving them options.
Perfect. Perfect. Chris, do we have any of our deep technology students still on the call that we can bring on for a minute? Because I want to show Pandit exactly how valuable his skills are as an architect and how he could leverage his last skills as an architect, but it would be a much bigger transition from the trying to do DevSecOps. Is there somebody that we can bring in that's one of our students that's really senior, Chris?
We can bring Bob in.
Bring Bob in.
All right.
Hey,
Bob.
I want to show Pandit how valuable his skill set is because it's extremely good. Bob, you just became the CEO of a company. And you come up to you, Bob. You're the CEO of a company and you had a person in your company. They set up something called the Bastion host and you were hacked within 24 hours because that's what would happen.
Right.
So now, and Bob's a security guy. Bob, is a Bastion host a good idea?
Not at all. Should never be used.
Never. I almost got fired 20 years ago for trying to use one. The chief information security officer says, if it wasn't you, Mike, you'd have been fired for setting this up. So, Bob, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Feel great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm a little concerned. I got a call from They said you had a security event. What happened?
Something breached our perimeter, and got to one of our databases. We're not exactly sure what has happened, but we know it has been infiltrated, and possibly some of the sensitive data that's on there has been taken.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. Because I've been through a lot of these. Is legal involved?
Absolutely, absolutely. Due to the regulations that we have to meet from GDRP, dealing with the European Union, we must adhere to their compliances regarding data protection.
Do you have someone in marketing or PR working on your brand recognition right now? Because if not, I got somebody good for you.
I'd love to get your reference and get some assistance from you. That would be
Sure,
great.
I got this guy, Chris. He's incredibly smart. I'll send him over to you right now.
Perfect. Thank
I
you.
also want to make sure that you're okay. You doing okay?
Yeah. You have to step back and evaluate the situation that you have, and take that snapshot of your existing system. Try to isolate where the occurrences happened and prevent it from infiltrating the rest of the network. Those are the first things, and get your incident response team on site as quickly as possible.
Okay, Bob, as you know, I'm the lead architect, so I've got access to whoever I need. I can get you an IAM architect to come in and help you today. I can get you one of my lead cloud security architects, and I can get you a couple of engineers. Would that be helpful for the lead assignment today to try and help you figure it out?
Absolutely. The more smart people we have here, the better. Better we are together.
Okay, sounds good. So what I'm going to do is the following. I'm going to call you at least once a day. I'm going to stop by over lunch. I'll take you to lunch. Each day we can talk about what's going on. I'm going to escalate this by getting what's called the CAP case to make sure the right management team is involved. But are you comfortable now?
Yes, I am. Hopefully it'll help me sleep a little bit better.
So great. That's what I'm going to do. So, Pandit, did you see what I did? This is your skill, by the way. All of us in healthcare, our skill is our emotional intelligence and our ability to manage challenging situations. So if you're interested in DevSecOps, great, do it. If it's your passion, if you love it, good. But sales engineering, architecture, healthcare just lives and thrives on this stuff. So it's up to you what you choose to do. You've got a lot of work to do DevSecOps, and that's okay. We all have a lot of work to do anything. It was a challenge to go to nursing school when I worked full-time as a firefighter paramedic, which I did. It was even worse to become a nurse practitioner and go get an MBA at 2 different universities full-time while maintaining the full-time job. And you can do it. People that have a healthcare background, Pandit, can do anything. I just wanted to show you how good your strengths are on the human side of things, Pandit.
Yeah, I hear you. Thanks for clarifying my goals. If it's gonna be longer than 3 years, I probably don't want to do DevSecOps. I'll try to become an architect instead.
And for the architects about designing, presenting, and selling, you'll be gifted in the presentation piece. You could become an engineer too. Just, you got to do what you love. But here's the thing. Some of us have special backgrounds. Healthcare is such a special background, and it's such a human service-oriented background that anytime where you can communicate, that is going to be your strength and advantage. It's almost like a secret weapon for you because that skill is so valuable. I just wanted you to see how I would use it. By the way, did you see how I did that with Bob? You know where I learned that? Healthcare.
Yeah.
So play to your strengths.
My strengths are I'm willing to learn and I'm hardworking and I'm a good communicator and I empathize with people.
They're your strengths. Play to them. Play your game. Your game. Someone like you, train that communication to make it so good. Here's the thing. If you're 30% less technical than the rest, but you're the most likable guy in the room with those healthcare skills, you're still hired.
Yeah.
That's how I got hired. That's how my first job was a senior network engineer with 0 experience. The hiring manager loved me. Play to your strengths. Play your game, not somebody else's game, and I know you're going to be successful soon. And if you'd like us to train you to become a cloud architect, we'd be honored to do it. But if
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
take our free training tomorrow and we'll tell you exactly what to learn to do it. And for some people, I recommend engineering. For some people, I recommend architecture. Really, what I want you to do is what you love. When you can communicate like that, when you can take care of a sick person, first thing that I like to go is use that strength, because that is the magical strength. Do you know the most high-paying skill in tech? Soft skills, emotional intelligence, etc. So leverage your strength. You leverage that, make your superpower in your background, your skill. I think you'll do much better. You'll be much better off. And if you'd like us to train you, we'd be happy to.
Yeah. I look forward to that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All
Good
right.
start. And great. I love people from healthcare backgrounds. I love it, love it, love it. Then again, so am I.
Yeah. All right. So I am going to remove you. And, well, we already know who our next interviewee is going to be. He's already on the screen. So
Oh, even better.
we'll keep it simple. We'll just leave Bob up here.
All right.
All right.
All right, Bob. So, Bob, I'm going to ask you to be short and sweet because I know what's in your head.
Okay, I can do that.
Bob, my name is Mike, and I am the CEO for Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo Company. And we are a security consulting firm. We have secured the world's largest banks, the most critical healthcare institutions, and most of the Fortune 100 companies.
Okay.
Organizations hire us for this reason. We are vendor neutral, meaning we don't play favorites. Our favorites are our customers. People say, Mike, are you a cloud evangelist? And I say, I can't afford to be a cloud evangelist. I'm a customer evangelist. If it's best for the data center, I'm sticking them there. If it's best in the cloud, I'm sticking them there. I only care what brings out the best outcomes for my customers. So, Bob, tell me about yourself.
I am a technology fanatic per se. I've been in technology for over 15 years.
Wow.
I love what I do. I spend my free time reading about new technologies, acquisitions, and mergers to kind of understand why they're coming together and what type of solutions that they can build together that I may be able to present to my clients. I love helping my clients and being successful.
Okay, Bob, since I know you have a security background, could you tell me something about data loss prevention, what it is, how it works, why companies need it?
That's a great question, Mike. Data loss prevention is critical. You have to maintain the integrity of your data, but you also have to understand where your data is. By leveraging some network DLP solutions, you can actually scan your network, your repositories of where your data resides, whether it's the host or the network or any of your servers, and tag those based off policies that your corporation has set and government regulation policies that are required. And so if anything moves, say somebody tries to email it, somebody tries to transfer it via web, maybe they're trying to take a screenshot of your PC or copy it to a thumb drive. We want to stop it and block it, record that for legality purposes, and make sure our data is protected as well as our clients' data.
Love that. Excellent example. Clearly, you've worked with data loss prevention before. You've been a number of people that just lie to us. So I'm so happy. So, Bob, what's different between a next generation firewall and a traditional firewall?
Well, the next generation firewall really wasn't purpose built for all the features that are in a standard firewall wasn't originally purpose built for the features that are now in the next generation firewall, which include IDS, IPS, application control, and web filtering. Prior to being a purpose-built device, as you added those features, you would lose performance of that device, which caused some headaches. But now we have purpose-built devices that allow you to do full functionality of IDS, IPS, meaning you're able to block known signatures that are associated with the packets that are coming through. You're able to block certain web applications through web filtering and other devices for the IDS, IPS in the network.
Great. So, Bob, here's a question I ask you architecturally. I always use a network load balancer in front of my next generation firewalls. Why would I do that?
Next generation firewall, front loading your firewalls allows you to control the traffic from, say, multiple geographies or types of clients that are accessing your website, and allow you to apply different policies associated with access to the databases. Say they want to access a certain set of things that you're selling, or access a different set of things you're selling in a different language. You'll be able to sort that and control that with the next generation firewall and the load balancing.
Why might I use an intrusion detection and prevention system even though I have a next generation firewall?
In combination, the next generation firewall really is meant to block people from coming in, and you have to open up certain ports, such as port 443 and port 80, to access the web applications. Now, when you're adding IDS IPS, you're looking for signature based. Firewall is more type of a proxy. It really is the rules that you set for it to allow in and out of traffic in and out. And you can add rule-based additional functionality with the IDS IPS, but really the known threats that are associated with the signatures that you have, and the ability to detect some anomalies, to send off those anomalies to a sandboxing technology to make a decision, really adds a sweet layer of protection for you.
Excellent. Tell me what's a demilitarized zone?
Great question, Mike. The demilitarized zone is another layer of protection. The way I like to see it explain it is your remote users are logging in via VPN, IPsec tunneling, to allow authentication, encryption, and non-repudiation to know that they're the ones connecting to your network. But you want to run that traffic through a demilitarized zone, such as where your web gateway, your email gateway, your authentication may be, to where it takes a first look at that traffic before it allows it through the firewall and into your network.
Why should I hire you, Bob?
I love technology. If I don't know something, I'll spend days, nights, whatever it takes to learn it, and learn it well, and teach the people around me.
Wow, Bob, this is great. I know we practiced this a few times. This is good. This I really like. This has come so far. The intro about you was crisp and to the point. Why I need you was crisp and to the point. Your technical answers were really great. I would have liked a little more on the network load balancer to say, because the firewalls are virtual and they're not high availability, we need a load balancer to avoid single points of failures. But you actually gave me a different use case, which is also a good use case, not the one I was thinking about. So I went with it. Good job. Really good job.
Thank you. And as I
That's
said,
what we're looking for in an architect interview.
it does take practice, and to dumb it down from an engineering perspective, because I can go deep.
You can. That's the problem. Is that's not what's looked for in the architect. That's what they want in the engineer.
Right.
And the architect, we want this cross between an executive and a technology professional, and they're more concerned about your ability to lead a team of engineers that are going to do it than you do it. But they're more concerned about your digital transformation. And I got it there. That was perfect. I'm really happy to see it. Everybody, let's give a cloud hired over there to Bob Welch.
Yeah, I gotta say that's like that's hired on the spot right there. That's
I even cut my own hair.
No
yeah,
problem. The three students that were mine, I wouldn't let them actually walk out the door. The fourth student from the Army, he's brand new. I still find a place for him because he's from the Army and he was awesome. Not yet in this job, but he'd get there soon. That was really good, Bob. That was so much better.
Yep.
Thank you.
Keep
Coming
practicing this.
a long way.
Keep practicing the Christmas. Keep recording yourself. Very
Keep
soon,
pushing
Bob.
myself, and you've pushed me. I've got notes on everything that I missed on prior calls,
Good.
and I don't need the notes now.
Well,
Good.
that's the key to success. Do you know what the key to success is? It's how hard you can get hit, knocked down, and keep getting back up.
That's right.
And let's be fair, nothing that I ever learned came natural to me. Like nothing. I've been hit hard, knocked down, and I keep getting back up. Did you know that 10 years ago, the doctors told me I'd never walk again? I went to 13 of them.
Yeah.
They were like, here's a morphine pump. Here's a morphine pump. And I said, you're not going to put that junk in my body. 8 hours a day of physical therapy. I started a company, sat in a chair. Don't walk very far, but the point is, I walk up and down the stairs, and I'm sitting here right now. So keep fighting. Bob, I'm so happy. Clap hard, everybody, for Bob. Keep going.
Perfect.
Bob,
Go
I'm
get it.
so
Great
proud of
job.
you. I'm so excited for you.
All right. So I'm going to let you go,
Thank you.
Bob, and
So
we'll
close.
bring in the
I'm so
next
proud of
one.
you.
Good job.
I'll
Good
find
job,
that
Bob.
link to join.
Yeah, I'll put it back. I'll figure it out. Let me see.
And those were some tough questions I was throwing at you.
Oh, I can't wait to
There you go.
share with you some stuff I've learned a little bit more about what researching and threat
You know, like
sharing.
that data loss prevention stuff you've got in the Google Professional Cloud Architect book in the background too. Excellent stuff.
All right. So I just put the link there in the private chat for you, Bob.
Please
All right.
join there. Please pay attention, Bob.
You got it.
Knowledge of everything and everyone is critically important.
All right. All right. So our next one is going to be Dan. Hey, Dan.
Hi, Dan. I love that background. It's exceptional.
Yeah, looks familiar.
I think we're sitting in the same room, Mike.
I wish we were right now. If we're in the same room and I cook you some Greek food, it's the only food I know how to cook. That's not true. I'm really good at cooking Jamaican food because I've got some close Jamaican folks. But unless it's Caribbean or Greek, I don't know how to cook it. But if you're in Florida, I'm happy to make you some Greek food.
I mean, Dan did his recon. He found something that he could relate to you with the background there. So
Hey, by the way, what's the most important thing to do in the beginning of an interview? Establish rapport and find common ground. Because if you can do, the person likes you. So, wow, Dan's got the same piano as me.
And I like the fact that you cook because I spend my weekends in the kitchen when I'm not doing IT work. You know, yes, the way I spend most of my time behind the kitchen. I mean, cooking for my wife and the kids. I love cooking. I love Indian cuisines. Most of my dishes are fish. You know, prepare fish in different types and yes, all sorts of different dishes.
Love that. It's funny. And then we'll get to the interview. So about 6 months ago, the bug guy comes to my house and I offer him a turmeric tea based on his accent. And he says, sure, thanks, Mike. I said, so you're West Indian. I'm assuming you're Jamaican with that accent. And he's like, how'd you know? And I said, well, you're not Trinidadian because your TH was pronounced this way. You're that. And he's like, okay. And then I'm like, I do have some bugs here. And he goes through my cabinet and he says, Mike, there's 50 Bambies here. There's jerk spice. There's Caribbean curry. He's like, who or what are you? I'm like, just like Caribbean stuff. And then he saw my Bob Marley album collection. And he looked at me like, but he comes to my house every time he comes. We now cook Jamaican things together. So I like it and I love to cook.
Awesome.
I said, Dan, what kind of a job are you looking for? A cloud architect, cloud engineer?
Cloud architect and yes, I think solution architect, cloud architect. That's what I'm looking at.
Okay. So, Dan, could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Okay, Mike. Yes, I think my career took a huge twist when 20 years ago, in my company that I used to work for in South Africa, Johannesburg. You know, they implemented SAP. And I was one of the fortunate ones to be working with the consultants. And since then, I loved what they do because they came and solved the problems, you know, that the company had, you know, through implementing system. And I found myself being one of them. And since then, I did a lot of certification and I became a SAP consultant. So I've been a SAP consultant solving companies' problems for almost 20 years now, working in different industry, government and private sector. and also working for different countries. Like obviously, I'm in South Africa, implemented a couple of solutions in Middle East, in Poland, in France. I mean, working with different cultures. But I've got experience working with different cultures, and with my SEP as a consultant, obviously interacted with different people at different levels, up to the CEOs levels, up to the trainers, up to everything. And the company that I'm currently working for right now, they migrated all their SEP workloads onto AWS, and that's where my fascination with cloud computing again started. And every time I attend the workshops, people talk about VP peering. I will go Google, I will go read, because one attribute about myself, I'm curious. And at some stage, I found myself having read a lot about AWS, and I attempted a cloud practitioner certificate and I passed it. I attempted a solution associate certificate and I also passed it. And that was within obviously 6 months, those two certificates. And now I've also realized that AWS has a certificate especially for SEP customers that want to put their workload on AWS. So I'm seriously pursuing the SEP on AWS certification, since what I've been doing most of the part of my life was or is SEP. But I've realized that AWS is actually offering more services to solve technical problems or business problems, and therefore, see my maybe next 10 of my career life being a solution architect, more especially a cloud solution architect. And yes, I'm relatively new in this. I've been introduced 7 months or so.
Okay, so it's fine that you're new. You tell me you've been designing solutions for a long time. What kind of solutions are they? That's really interesting to me.
Yeah, I've been designing solutions like a customer relationship solutions, e-commerce solutions, for example. But obviously, I'm a SEP consultant. I was offering SEP as a solution and not any other brand. I solved all kind of solutions like case management solutions for our Department of Labor in South Africa, and for our gas and fuel industry, internet sales and call center sales solutions. And all those solutions, we obviously, SEP had different solutions for all these different types of problems. Be it HR, be it finance, be it customer service, be it sales, be it e-commerce. They had solutions. So all that I was doing was solving companies' problem, offering SEP solutions.
Okay, so tell me about a solution. You don't have to tell me the customer, but what was the solution? How did it work, and what were the benefits that were delivered to the customer? Intangible benefits like save money, increase sales, customer satisfaction, something like that.
Yes, I think the recent solution that I'm working on was a rewards or a loyalty solution that we've implemented for one of our retailers. And the loyalty or reward solution is basically meant to keep the customer engaged. Send the customer promotion and make the customer choose a certain retailer instead of a different retailer, because we work so closely with the solution. I've learned to appreciate loyalty and seen what it has done. And one of the things that I have done privately, because I've also implemented this SEP loyalty solutions all over the world, I've actually tried to build my own loyalty solution using AWS services, especially incorporating some of the serverless services, noting that each and every company needs a loyalty program, but most of them cannot afford them because loyalty programs are expensive. So I've been trying to put together a cheaper solution using AWS serverless solutions.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. So, actually, out of curiosity, you said you worked in a lot of countries, so your English is exceptional. I'm assuming you speak Afrikaans as well?
Yes, I do.
What other language do you speak? Because seem very educated. I'm curious to know what kind of people you could speak to in their native language.
Yeah, no, being South African with our multicultural, I speak almost 10 languages, so I understand almost 10 languages.
Which ones could you speak and have a conversation business-wise?
Afrikaans, English, Sotho, Zulu, Xhosa, Tswana, Pedi. Yeah, there's a lot.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. And as you know, between Cape Town and Johannesburg, there's a lot of cloud computing investment going on. But there's a lot of investment going on in Nigeria and Cameroon. So any Yoruba or anything like that in there?
Yes. I've actually been following AWS, and I've seen that they're doing a whole lot of investment in Southern Africa.
Yes.
And going all over to plant all their training centers and training academy. And as a matter of fact, I actually have a real interview with them next Wednesday as a SEP on AWS architect.
I'm so happy. This is great news. Any chance you can fake your way through French as well?
Say that again?
Can you fake it in French almost good enough to have a conversation too?
No.
Okay. I was just,
Yeah.
I only speak 2.5 languages. I'm fluent in Greek and English and some Spanish. I can get a by in Panama, but it's not perfect. But no, I love people that speak multiple languages, highly valuable skill. So I know what you are. I know what your background is. That is all great to me. Let's ask some basic cloud questions. So you chose serverless. Why did you go serverless?
Serverless for me is, you can create a solution without worrying about what's going to happen if I've got 2 customers. What will happen to my infrastructure if I have 1 million or 500,000 customers? And how much money am I going to spend? Because I think the beauty and advantage of serverless is, especially Lambda, you pay the request that were made. So you can basically go live with your solution quickly without worrying about servers or infrastructure or volume or anything like that, because AWS takes care of everything.
Okay, now there's a reason, and there's a good argument to be said for serverless. There's a good reason that I generally avoid serverless. And it's generally too risky from the majority of my customers. But if it's a new customer, they've had no tech, especially if they've got lower costs, I love serverless. What are the major risks of going serverless?
The major risk of going serverless, honestly.
Yeah, there's some really major dangerous risks of doing things in a serverless environment when it comes to high performance organizations or high availability organizations. What might those challenges be?
I think the challenges might be, you might not know what the cost is going to be.
Let's assume the cost is the same for everything and we don't care about the cost. What are the risks of serverless to the customer?
No, it's because the customer does not have access to a server, doesn't know what's going on,
So what are the risks? Let's say I'm AWS and I don't like the customer and choose to kick them out of my data center.
Okay.
If they're serverless, can the customer move easily?
I think yes, no, and the customer is intellectual property, because your IP sits there and everyone has access to your IP, and yes, you can't move it easily.
You can't move easily at all. So if you go serverless, trying to go to another cloud becomes near impossible. What happens if the cloud provider raises the customer's rates by 80% and they want to get off or go to another cloud? How do they do that in serverless?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, Mike?
The customer decides to raise the customer's rate and they can no longer afford to be on that cloud. If they're serverless, what does that customer have to do?
No, I'm not sure. I don't
And
know
that's totally fair. I get it. You took the certification, serverless. The problem is it can cost a fortune to make an application serverless, and it can cost a fortune to leave the cloud. So once you're serverless, it makes multi-cloud very, very challenging. The cloud providers love serverless because it locks you in forever.
Okay.
So there's trade-offs. But if it's a new business and it's a small business and it's better, faster, and cheaper, I love it. But here's that. Why would we always recommend 2 clouds and never 1 cloud with 2 regions and 2 availability zones when we need 5 nines availability?
it's yes, it's for high availability, and it's make sure that that if a certain maybe region go off, I mean with AWS, you are, your workloads or your application will be maybe running on GCP on Azure. I think that's exactly the reason why companies do that.
Okay, excellent. And that's the key. I wanted you to know, and I wanted to see it. Our certified people believe that if you stick it all in Amazon or all in Azure or all in Google, it's fine. But if they get a network failure, a control plane failure, or they get hacked, their whole global cloud goes down. So good on that. Now, what kind of database do we use for structured data?
For structured data, I will use a relational database.
Okay, good. Now, I want to be using a relational database on AWS, Azure, and Google. Could you give me some options that I could run on all three?
On all three, yes, I don't have an answer for that, but I will take a guess. I mean, if you want to run it on all three, I will say, go with a Postgres database. Because
That's
I was
all I
about to
wanted
say,
you to know. I wanted you to know that you weren't going to say Amazon Aurora or some
no.
fancy name from a cloud provider because it's proprietary, and I couldn't do it. So
Yes.
good job. What's your knowledge of networking?
My knowledge networking, I've learned about networking since I've started studying cloud computing. And yes, I know that you create the VPC obviously for security of your your resources, and not only VPCs. I mean, you obviously secure it using your root, your network access control, and ultimately your security groups. And obviously, you can use a whole lot of other things like AWS WAF, I mean, Shield to protect. Depending on the type of the attack that you maybe might be seeing or forecasting.
If you've got an enterprise customer with enterprise grade security, would you use WAF, or would you use something that may be more designed for enterprise grade use?
I'll use something more appropriate maybe for the enterprise.
Okay. So things like so that's good. So let's try and so if I were to ask you about subnetting, supernetting, routing, do you have any knowledge or experience there?
I do have knowledge of subnetting and routing, yes.
Yes. So I've got a subnet, 172.16.1.1 with a /30 subnet mask, which is 255.255.255.252. Again, it was 172.16.1.1. Where does that subnet begin, meaning the network address? Which are the two usable addresses, and what would be the broadcast address for that subnet?
Yeah, I wasn't sure that we were going to go at that level. I think my understanding with subnet is when you have to put maybe other workloads to face the public, and maybe put some other workloads on a private subnet. And I think what you've just asked me, to be honest, is one of the things that I found to be really, really challenging for me to understand. Every time I see a IP address, it's been a challenge for me to basically interpret it. I think it's one of the things that I've said I need to study more after my certification.
Yeah, that's actually probably the most critical thing for the cloud, because if you can't get your IP addressing right, the entire system will fall apart. The routing will be mistake. So that's kind of critical there. But we can learn, we can train, it's all good. So let's talk about that. So when do I use block storage and when do I use object storage?
I mean, we'll use object storage, for example, when we want to maybe host static, maybe data from the website, maybe like CSS or images or video. And then we will use block storage maybe for transactional database where the information is changing every now and then. There is a block storage.
Why can't we use object storage for rapidly changing information?
Because it's not meant for that. Like you cannot use an object storage maybe as a bootable storage. You know,
Why not?
it,
What would
it's not
happen if
meant.
you did?
It's okay. What I know is it's not meant for that. Technically, I don't know why it's not possible.
Okay.
I know the textbook answer. It's not meant for that.
Okay. Describe a next generation firewall to me, what it is, how it works, and why we would use that.
Yeah, I don't have any extensive experience in firewalls and anything of that nature.
Why should I hire you?
Okay, I'm curious by nature, you know, and as you might have seen on my CV, a lot of all the certification, including AWS, that I have done, it's out of curiosity. I'm a person that likes to consume knowledge. I'm a person that like to read. I'm a person that researching into the best and the latest, you know, services or solutions that are available to solve the current, you know what, or future problems. So all that I like is researching and solving people's problem using technology.
Thank you. Dan, this is a tough one. And I'm going to give you all the feedback, the good, the bad, and the honest. Here's why this is such a tough one. You are in every way an architect. You communicate like an architect. You walk and talk like an architect. You think of solutions to problems. You're extremely emotionally intelligent. You're the most likable, or one of the most likable people you're ever going to meet. And you are smart. So I would actually hire you, but I'd send you to training, but I'm not normal. I would hire you in a heartbeat and train you for 3 or 6 months. Here's the missing thing. You don't really understand enough of the technology deeply enough yet. Some of it you do, some of it you don't.
Yes.
You need to understand about block storage and object storage and how they work and why they work. You need to understand why, what happens when you make a new file, and you modify a file in object storage, how it creates new versions. You really need to understand the speed and performance limitations of object storage, block storage, because it's not fast like the data center. And that's why there's a lot of cloud performance problems, because block storage, even the fastest block storage is really, really slow compared to data center storage. You picked serverless for good reason. It made complete and total sense. When I tried to guide you through why it might be challenging, wow, you got it. So that means the business side of being an architect is there. You need a little more technical competency, and that's okay. But here's something I want to teach you. When I asked you about a firewall, you weren't sure, and you gave me an answer, and that was a good answer. You want to hear a better answer?
Yes.
I'm sorry I've not had the opportunity to learn that technology yet or work with that technology yet. But I'm highly energetic, I'm highly enthusiastic, and I absolutely love technology. And if it was important to you, I'd stay up all night and learn all about it. But it's not my expertise. But you know what is? Next generation firewalls, IDS, IPS systems, and whatever those 3 things that you are. So I'd like you to learn 3 things really, really well and master those. And then anytime you get asked a question you don't know, guide them towards those things. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about neurolinguistic programming. And everybody here, here's the thing. Don't think of an elephant, Dan. What did you think of? An elephant, right?
Yes.
I told you don't. You know why you thought of an elephant? Because the brain doesn't process a no. It doesn't understand it. I'm sorry I haven't had the opportunity to learn that yet, but I'm highly energetic, I'm highly enthusiastic, and I love tech. You know what they forgot? Everything before the but, because the brain, in that sentence, the brain doesn't process a no. So try to do that, trying to guide them to where you're at. You're a little green, so you got an interview, somehow you got it. Good. Try to guide the interview on you. Guide them to the thing. So I want you to really learn 3 things that come easiest to you. Learn them, master them. I want you to connect with them at the first second like you did with me, because if you do, everything you say will sound sweeter. They'll be more likely to like you. And you, Dan, are unbelievable. I'm not joking. I would hire you right now. I've hired people that had less of a background than you, and they became some of my best employees. I hired this guy, Avi. It was an Israeli name. It wasn't Avi, but I don't want to use his real name. I hired him. He came in like you. He didn't know what you know. You actually have good knowledge. He had none. He said, I want to be a network engineer. And I asked him, what do you know about network engineering? He said, nothing, Mike. He says, I've done Windows NT. I said, tell me the scale. 4 servers in my synagogue. And I went, okay, great. This is good. I asked him a question. No, Mike, but I really want this job. I asked him, Mike, I really want this job. By the time I was done with Avi, I had to hire him. I loved him. So I went to my buddy Gary, who was, he and I were like co-team leads. I said, Gary, could you talk to my buddy Avi? And he's like, Mike, I love this guy. And I said, I'm going to go tell the vendor we're going to hire him. And he's like, how are you going to tell what vendor are going to hire him? The guy that knows nothing. I said, I'm going to tell him. And then Avi says to me, you know, Mike, I can't work past 2 p.m. on Fridays because I have to be home by sundown. It's 3 hours home. And I was like, great. But go to my manager vendor and I say, I'm hiring Avi. The vendor says to me, Avi? Can I meet him? I'm like, you don't need to meet him. And my manager said, I want to meet him. I said, don't ask him any technical questions. He's my special hire. And the vendor's like, what does your special hire mean? It means he's the nicest, most emotionally intelligent, likable guy I've interviewed in a month. And guess what? I'm going to train him. My manager says, Mike, this doesn't work out. It's your head. I said, okay. 3 months later, Avi was exceptional. 20 years later, Avi has a company that makes and sells Chromebooks to people in the developing world that couldn't afford computers. He's the CEO of a company, and I'm so proud of him. You have a lot of knowledge, which he didn't have. The reason I brought him up is your attitude, energy, and enthusiasm is so good that even if you don't know quite as much, you still have a good chance. But really master 3 things between now and then. Hope and pray for the best. And if not, 3 months from now, we'll help you get hired.
Thank you.
Dan, good job.
Thank you.
Good effort, good honesty, good everything. 10 languages, that's just so impressive. So I've got Arabic on my list of languages that I'd like to learn. I would like to also add French to it. If I could do those 3 languages, I'd be super happy.
Yeah.
Because I can fake my way in Spanish and Greek is obviously home. Good for you, Dan.
Well, everybody's doing better than me. I know English and Mississippi, and that's about all that I know.
Well, that's because that's where you're from. Americans and English people generally don't speak that many languages.
Right.
Europeans speak everything.
Yeah.
Good job, Dan. Thank
Good
you
job.
for taking part.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
All right. You have a good evening.
Same to you.
All right. All right. So I'm not sure if he goes by Dan, but his name, it looks like his name starts with Dan. It's Dan and Jay. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. So welcome.
Yes, absolutely. You pronounced that clearly, Chris.
All right. It's a first time for everything.
You're getting much better with names with all the names we have, Chris. Dan
Yes.
and Jay, so nice to meet you. How are you?
Yes, Mike, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. What is your background so I can guide it to something that's going to be more appropriate for you?
Yes, exactly. So I am an Oracle database administrator, mostly on the eBusiness Suite, Oracle eBusiness Suite side. And I'm having a total 14 years of experience in the Oracle products, ranging from database, eBusiness Suite, business intelligence, the replication software like Golden Gate, and mostly the Oracle ecosystem. Okay. And I mostly worked on the clients like manufacturing, engine manufacturing client, the retail utilities clients, as well as high-tech semiconductor industry clients. I was handling their Oracle databases as well as their ERP system, making sure their vision of their organization to protect the data for the database administrators. I'm aligning with that vision to ensure their backup and recovery procedures, as well as the business users issues. We were taking care of that on.
Okay. So now that gives me an idea. I know your background. What is it, a cloud architect, cloud engineer? What is it your goal is?
Yes,
else?
so I'd be interested in the cloud architect program. Okay. Yeah, the reason being, like, as you know, like database administrators, they are the central part of any organization. whether it be the infrastructure guys, say Unix team, maybe network team, or the Windows team, or the infrastructure team, or the business user. So we are the central point where if any issue is there, they will first get the DBA and say, hey DBA, please resolve our issues. Then we have to coordinate with the other teams, and then we have to be central and coordinate the issues to get resolved for them.
Okay, spoken like a true database person.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and the network person would say the database is the least important part, and here's the reason why. If you don't have a network, nothing works. Then if you don't have servers, nothing works. Then if you don't have storage, nothing works. So they would say that long before we get to applications. But, you know, that's a different, so think about that from the perspective. When you're dealing with cloud and architecture, a database is going to be one of the least important things as opposed to one of the most central things. Because they're only looking for you to solve business problems. So I'll start it now that I know all about your background. I'm assuming you know about ETL tools, mapping and reduction, creation of data lakes, writing your Python Spark scripts to take things from one database and another, the different kind of databases, name value pairs, key value pairs. I'm assuming that's all in your background, right?
Not much. As you see, like we have other people to take care of those things. We solely concentrate on administration of ERP system as well as the database.
Okay, so now I'll start the cloud architect thing. Dhananjay, could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So hi, Mike. I'm Dhananjay Avle, and I have 14 years of experience in Oracle database and ERP systems. I like to help the people who are concerned with my database, and they are having any issues with that. I'm concerned so that their issues get resolved in time, and that's it. Yes.
Okay, I'm just taking notes. Said you worked on ERP systems. Why would a business adopt an ERP system?
Yes, so ERP system is the different business units in a particular organizations. They need to be aligned. They need to be aligned so that the business stakeholders will get all the information at one place with one dashboard. So all the departments will update their data into their particular ERP units, and then the business stakeholders will have access to all that data. So they know at what is going on at what point of time in their organization or in a particular department.
Okay, so from a business solution perspective, why can't I just have an Excel spreadsheet? What's different about ERP systems?
Yes, exactly. So as you see in today's today's days, the organizations are global. The organizations are global, and they need their application to be up and running 24/7.
Okay, I still don't understand why I can't just have an Excel spreadsheet sitting in object storage or file storage that we can all use. What does the ERP application do that's different or transformational for business?
Yes, that's what. So it's a multi-user environment where thousands of users can do transactions at a time, and it will be easily accessible for the stakeholders. Excel sheet, I can say like, okay, if it is on SharePoint, anybody can update that. Anybody can update that, but it will not give you that holistic view of a particular organization in terms of graphical interface, or they cannot do the analytics on those Excel sheets, but they will get all this information from the ERP system.
Okay, so we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah.
So I am going to use a multi-cloud environment. I want to use a database that's going to work in AWS, Azure, Google, and Oracle.
Yes.
It needs to handle a large number of transactions. How do I design it? How do I scale it?
So first of all, we'll need to decide. Sorry?
It'll be structured data.
Yes, so relational database is the first choice, and there will be different vendors like a SQL Server we can use a Sybase, IBM Sybase, we can use Oracle database. So we have to use a particular database which will be more robust in terms of scalability and availability is the most important thing, and how many IOPS it will complete in a less amount of time. So depending on that, we have to decide the relational database maybe on the native cloud. So for example, we are choosing SQL Server, so it will be best optimized on the Azure, not on the Oracle database, or on the Amazon AWS. So depending on the transactions and those, we have to select the database. And obviously, on if it is on cloud, we have the scalability option by default, wherein when required, the infrastructure may be added on demand on ad hoc basis.
Okay, so first we actually have to plan the infrastructure ahead of time. But why did you not use the Oracle database, which would be a perfect database to work in 3 different clouds at the same time that we could just put in a virtual machine? Would you not select that?
Yes, as I said, like the native database, like according to their vendor, they are best optimized for that. But yes, we can definitely use the multi-vendor, or if we can use the other database with the other cloud native. So that is also not a problem.
I was asking for something that would intentionally not be cloud native because I wanted it to perform and scale across 3 clouds. That's why. Okay. So now tell me, block storage is really, really slow. Meaning if I go to Best Buy right now and spend $150 on a Samsung 980 Pro, I get about 1 million IOPS. If I'm AWS and I use an IO1 volume, I get 16,000 IOPS max. IO2 gives me 250,000, which is better, but still pathetic. How do I speed it up if I need 1 million IOPS? What do I need to do with my IO1 devices at 16K IOPS?
Yeah, so actually it depends. I guess I'm not. It depends. I think I guess on the regional basis. Like if suppose I'm in North America, and I want that particular region, so I will use the object storage, which is based on NVMe SSDs, which will give me the higher or more robust performance.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one more time. The maximum you can get of an IO1 device, which is much faster than object storage, is 16,000. How can we go from 16,000 to 1 million?
So we can use parallel devices, the same devices in parallel, maybe in load balancing basis.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Let's try another topic.
Yeah, sure.
Let's talk about, you've got 2 equal cost of connections to AWS. And they're both, one's on AT&T and one's on Verizon. You'd like to load share but not get out of order packets. What could you do?
Oh, I'm not sure about this, but I will definitely like to acquire that networking knowledge, which is I'm kind of lacking of currently.
Okay. So tell me, let's give you some, I'm just trying to reduce it a little bit, make it a little easier. Tell me what identity and access management really does in simple, non-technical words.
Yes, exactly. So the identity and access management basically is used to segregate the roles and the profiles and roles we are assigned to the user. On cloud, basically it is need to know basis or need to assign basis the minimum privilege given to the user as per their requirement.
Okay. And let me ask you one more. I'm going to try and end on a high note here. What is meant by stateful in the context of a firewall?
Sorry, stateful.
What is meant by stateful in the context of a firewall?
Stateful, I think it is the full permissions given. I have heard like ingress rules and egress rules, which will be stateful. Stateful means the full privilege.
Okay, so I'm going to end it right there. And we're going to talk about these questions. The first question I asked you, you convinced me not to hire you. On the first one, do you know why?
Yeah.
What did you tell me in the first one that would have caused the hiring manager to reject you? When I asked you to tell me about yourself.
Yes.
You said something that would end the interview. Do you know what it was? If not, I'll tell you. What was it?
I can't recall.
First thing you said is, I've been doing databases for 15 years. I'm a database admin, I'm this.
Yes.
I'm not looking for a database admin, I'm looking for a cloud architect. So I'm a cloud architect with 10 to 15 years technology experience. I've had ability designing solutions for customers to optimize their business models. I spend a lot of time in databases, which are a critical part of any business infrastructure. That would have made me interested, but you didn't do that. Then when I asked you about ERP systems, the answer you gave me was not going to satisfy anybody.
Okay.
The answer you gave me was no better than an Excel spreadsheet. What is the transformative approach? Does it enable an organization to align its resources better? Can it determine where things are in its supply chain? Can it help people, business divisions, find out what's lacking so they can solve problems faster? That's why businesses use ERP systems, enterprise resource planning, and there was no planning in there, which made me think that all you did was code databases all day long. See, as the architect, I don't care if you can code a database. I don't care if you can write a Python script. I don't care if you can administer anything, because you don't do that. I care that you know what solutions to use to solve it. So then I tried to play to your strength with database scaling. And I asked you, how do you scale a relational database? And I was looking for adding read replicas to redirect the read load off of the master database. I was looking for implementing a queuing system like Kafka so we can smooth out the messages on the way to the database. I was looking for you to say, is it frequent data where we could cache it with like a Redis cache? Because that would be the architect thing. Then when we got the storage, well, that sort of fell apart. What we're dealing with low performance students, we have to use RAID, a redundant array of unexpected disks. So if we only have 16,000 IOPS and we need 1 million, we might need I'll do the math for you real quick because I'm not Mr. Math. I would take 1 million divided by 16,000, which is what we get out of an IO1 device. And I would know that I need 63 IO1 drives in RAID 0 to equal that level of performance. Then I would also say, can I safely have 63 drives in RAID 0? And the answer would be no. So then I'd need 63 drives in RAID 0 and another 63 drives in RAID 0. And I need to write on RAID 1 between them, which is called RAID 10. I did ask you a basic question about how you load balance. That's okay. You didn't know BGP. That's fine. You should know to basically leak a specific subnet, prepend an AS, or lots of other options. And when I asked you what is identity and access management, what I was really looking for was identity and access management identifies who the user is, determines what they're allowed to do, and tracks what they actually did, because that's what it is. When I asked you the concept of stateful in a firewall, it means this. Let's pretend my iPhone is a firewall. I want to go to a website called mycatcindy.com. She's a cute cat and she made her own website. She didn't. So I go through my firewall, www.mycatcindy.com. I send a sequence number to initiate my TCP connection. The firewall looks at Mike Gibbs sent a message to Cindy the cat. It sees my sequence number of 1. Then when that SYN goes to the server acknowledges my sequence number of 1, acknowledges it, and sends me a SYN. And the traffic looks and says, that traffic was originated by Mike Gibbs to mycatcindy, let the traffic back in the firewall. But if somebody else went to the firewall would just block it. So what stateful was referring to was the firewall actually paying attention to the traffic and allowing the turn traffic in because it's solid. But here's the thing. I'm assuming you're pretty new to the cloud. That's okay. It's a training thing. You can learn it. It's good. But that's the difference between architecture and engineering. The architecture is about the why. Engineering is about the how. So what you really want to do is you want to talk more architecture. In your background, I would like you to become a master on what databases can offer business solutions. Why? Because you got such a good background. When do I use a NoSQL database versus an SQL database? When do I use a data warehouse? When do I use object storage? When does my team write a Python Spark script to get to something out of the Oracle database, out of the data warehouse, and out of my NoSQL database like MongoDB, massage that data, stick it into a landing zone and object storage, catalog that data, and then create a data lake and make better business decisions? You got all that in you. You've already done it. So elevate yourself from the tech to the transformation, and I think you're going to be in good shape.
Yes, Mike, that's what I was looking for.
So good start. Remember that cloud's a network and a data center. So just get some networking and data center training. We could train you or however, but get the network and data center training, and then you'll understand. And if you say to the cloud computing people that the database is the central, they're not going to hire you. And here's the reason why. If you have no network, will you have any database working ever?
No.
If you don't have the service operating, will the database work? No.
No.
If the storage doesn't work, will the database work? No. So that's why we've got this 7-layer model. Layer 1 is the physical layer, the wires. Layer 2 is the data link. Layer 3 is the network, and layer 4 is the transport. You know why they're the first 4? Nothing works without it. So the infrastructure people will see that as most critical, but you can't have any one thing. What is an architecture? It's a group of pieces and parts. So I've got a tactical flashlight here. I've got a phone. Hey, wait, I'm in a survival situation. What can I do with this? And you'll see how bright this phone is. What can you do with this flashlight and this phone to save your life in a metal environment? So that's the key. So I want you to think about how the pieces and parts go together. So I had some shrimp tiki masala for lunch. Now, there was some coconut in there. It was delicious. There was some shrimp in there. It was delicious. There were some spices in there. It was delicious. By themselves, it's just parts. Together, it's something special. Try to add the special. That's the architecture piece. And very good start, Dan Jay.
Great. Thank you so much,
Very good,
Mike.
Please, we'll do another one soon. I want to get you cloud hired. I want everybody cloud hired. That's my mission in life.
All right, perfect. So we're moving on to the next one. And it looks like they are ready to go. So next we have Quentin. Quentin is going to be our next to last person. So we'll bring him in. And then Tunde will be next. So
fantastic.
There we go. Hey, Quentin.
Quentin, looking sharp today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for meeting with me today. How are you all doing?
I am doing fantastic, Quentin. Let me tell you a little bit about my company.
Please.
So I am the CEO of Delta Echo Foxtrot Golf Company, and we are a cloud architecture consulting company. We currently have on staff approximately 1,000 cloud architects. We consulted the biggest banks, biggest healthcare institutions, and I'm really excited to meet you because I hear you recommended by this guy named Chris that I know.
Yes, I know Chris. He's a great guy. That's very.
So Chris told me I should talk to you today. So Quentin, could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely, absolutely, Mike. My name is Quentin. I have a background in business and networking. I got interested in the technology when I started actually investing in cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, XRP, and the like. And from there, I started my my IT career and studied networking. And I've been studying the cloud as well, and worked on some architectures. And just really been. I have a very good thirst for knowledge, and I'm always learning.
I love that. I need people that are thirsty for knowledge, hungry and motivated. Because you know what? There's no 2 days that are the same.
Exactly. And that's what I like. That's what I liked about the job posting.
So you said you got a background in business. Could you tell me a little more about that?
Absolutely. I went to undergrad and got my degree in business management with a minor in marketing, and I have a degree in psychology. That allowed me to learn how people think, and in business, knowing how people think and how they make business decisions allows you to anticipate their needs before they actually verbalize it. So if you pay attention to verbal cues, nonverbal cues, you're able to read the room in such a manner that you can start formulating a response based on reading the room and everybody's nonverbal communication.
Found the same thing myself. Studied psychology extensively, communication extensively. Then again, I practiced medicine for a little while, which is where I learned it. But I'm an MBA myself. I love the business background. I love the psychology background. So what are you trying to do? What's your real goal?
I would like to be an enterprise architect, but first I'd like to be a cloud architect and help companies generate solutions and design architectures that will solve business problems.
Love that. There's an enterprise architecture team as well. So we've got a path for that. Tell me in your mind, what's the difference between an enterprise architect and a cloud architect?
A cloud architect, you're designing a solution with using different cloud technologies, regardless of vendor. As far as an enterprise architect, you're designing the entire overall business system for the enterprise, not just one particular solution for one particular problem. You're designing the entire infrastructure.
Totally agree. Do you think my best cloud architects only deal with the cloud, or they deal with anything from ice machines to applications or anything it takes to solve a customer's problem?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
My really good architects, my best cloud architects, do you think they just stop and say, hey, 2 clouds, or do you think they get involved in the data center, get involved in applications, or literally do anything to make my customers more
It
successful?
involves anything to make the clients happy, anything to make them.
And yes, you're right. My enterprise architects do a lot of that. They're much less technical. They're much more executive, and it's a good plan. I like it. I spend a lot of time as an enterprise architect myself. Network architect, cloud architect, enterprise architect. It's kind of like I just change hats each day. I do the same job. It doesn't matter. So you said networking. What kind of networking did you study?
I have my CCNA.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll start with a basic subnet question and test your competency.
Okay.
You've got a subnet that begins at 192.168.1.1 with a /30, 255.255.255.252. So 192.168.1.1 /30. Where does the subnet begin? What are the 2 usable addresses, and where is the broadcast address?
The subnet begins at 192.1. You said 192.168.
1.1 is the address I gave you.
Okay, so the it's going to start at 192.168.1.0. The last address is going to be 192.168.1.3.
That's the broadcast. Good.
Which is the broadcast. 1 and 2 are going to be your usable addresses, and this is most likely going to be, if I'm not mistaken, a WAN connection.
Yeah, it has to be a WAN connection. Good job. You knew the subnet and knew where to use it. Okay, great. So when do I use block storage and when do I use object storage?
With object storage, you're going to use it for metadata, and it can't be used as regular storage simply because you'd have a million versions of things because things are being written all the time. With block storage, things are organized in blocks, and I'm somewhat familiar with block storage, and I know that it's going to feel like file storage, even though it's not.
Good, perfect example. So I have a database that needs extremely good unstructured data.
Okay.
I need it to scale. And I don't want to be locked into any vendor with their thing where if I need to leave, I can't. Can you give me some options for a database that needs near unlimited scalability as well as flexible schema?
Absolutely. And you said you said this was unstructured data or structured data?
Unstructured data.
For unstructured data, you would use, I want to say you would use, I think you would use, it wouldn't be cloud specific. So it would be something like a MongoDB or perhaps a MariaDB. And of course, for scalability, you would utilize caching and read replicas so that the database itself wasn't overloaded.
Okay, do I use read replicas with no SQL databases or relational databases?
Relational databases.
Relational databases, are they for structured data or unstructured data?
Structured data.
So the Mongo database, which works well with unstructured data, is that a SQL database or a no SQL database?
Repeat that, I'm sorry.
So the Mongo database that works well, is it with unstructured data, is that a no SQL database or an SQL database?
The Mongo is, I think that's a SQL database.
Oh, it was a no SQL database.
No database, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. You still have the general idea. So what's the risk of going with a single cloud with 2 regions and 2 availability zones?
With a single cloud, even in 2 regions and 2 availability zones, you can still be locked in. If your system goes down, you're done. In addition, one vendor can raise your prices. So those are all downsides to being locked into one vendor as opposed to being with multiple vendors. You can negotiate your rates. Plus, you can have higher availability with your system depending on the criticality of your infrastructure.
Yeah, higher availability, better negotiation power, and you're never locked in. Makes sense.
Absolutely.
So describe identity and access management to me.
Absolutely. Identity and access management management encompasses basically two principles. That's AAA, authentication, authorization, and accounting, which is basically identifying the individual in the system, making sure they're able to access certain systems, and no more than that, which is basically least privilege, giving them the least amount of privilege that they need to be able to do their job, as well as accounting, which is tracking what they do while they're in that particular system that they have access to.
Okay. I want to see your transformation ability. I'm going to give you 60 seconds to think of this. I've got this phone over here.
Okay.
This new miraculous magical phone. It's got a huge CPU. It's got a GPU in it, and it's got all kinds of computing power. It's got super fast networking, and it's got cameras and video conferencing. I'm a doctor. How can I use this phone to improve my practice? I can research anything on it, by the way.
Say that one more time.
You can use it to it's got full computing capabilities. It's got Google. It's got applications. You can put any applications. By the way, I'm a doctor. And as a doctor, I diagnose and treat people with specific diseases. I don't always know what's going on. I don't always know the medications. The patients could be in the hospital. I could need to know their labs in order to make business decisions. How can this phone help me?
You can utilize that phone for pretty much everything when it comes to doing your job, your day-to-day responsibilities. You can utilize that phone to research symptoms, see what common symptoms are of a particular illness, commonalities, and differentiating between a sore throat and strep throat. For instance, you can utilize that device to reach out to your customers day in and day out. You can utilize the flashlight feature, for instance, to shine a light if you don't have a flashlight, for instance, to shine it down someone's throat to see why their throat is red or how red their throat is. You can utilize basically any feature that phone has. Every feature that phone has can benefit you in some way, shape, form, or fashion in your day-to-day job responsibilities.
Good. Any chance you have a military background?
I do not.
I'm gonna gauge your sales skills.
Okay.
So this is a tactical flashlight.
Okay.
This is a Surefire light. The Navy SEALs carry the same light. It's so bright that if an attacker were to attack me, I can shine it in their eyes. They'll be disoriented, and I can reorient myself.
Okay.
I use this light every day because my cat likes to go out, and at 10 o'clock at night, she doesn't want to come home. And I shine the flashlight. She sees it, and she comes running. So there's that.
Okay.
This flashlight is $200. This flashlight is airtight, watertight, could take it scuba diving, could drop it off of a building. Sell me this flashlight. So architects sell a lot.
Right. Now, Mike, let me see.
You can ask me any questions you want along the way.
Now, Mike, you said you said you're in the market for a flashlight, correct?
Yes, I need a light that's going to be indestructible because I live hard and I need to be able to it needs to be really bright so I can find my cat. And if I end up in a bad situation, I need to be able to use it to disorient my enemy, to reorient myself, to be able to survive.
Okay, perfect. So if I understand you correctly, you need to be able to find your cat, defend yourself, blind someone if necessary, and it needs to be indestructible. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my needs. I need it to be indestructible. I break everything. I go through 3 cell phones a year and Pelican cases.
No worries. I think I've got the perfect solution for you, Mike. This flashlight, I think, could be the product that suits all of your needs. It is indestructible as Navy SEALs use it. It's waterproof. It's airtight, so you don't have to worry about dust getting in there or air getting to it, or water getting in it. That way, it expands the life of the flashlight, and it's durable, so that if you do happen to drop it, you're still good to go. It's bright, so that you can find your cat in the dark. If Cindy goes out and you're searching, it's bright as can be. Excuse me. In addition, it is indestructible. Like I said, it's airtight, waterproof, dustproof, all of those things. And there was one other thing that you said.
That's okay. The last test. I want it. Can you give me one?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we can get you this. We can get you this flashlight. I can deliver it to you or ship it to you, your preference. The price is $200. And like I said, it's an industrial. It's an industrial flashlight. So investing in something that investing in quality, basically, because you're going to be using this flashlight on a regular basis, and you want to have something that's quality, that won't give up on you, and that you'll be able to defend yourself with if necessary. Would you agree with that?
I was ready to buy it before you kept talking. Now I know. Now I got to think about it some more. Almost perfect, Quentin.
Understood.
You know the major mistake you made there?
What's that?
Once you get to yes, stop.
Okay.
I've seen the world's greatest salespeople and the world's greatest architects come in, propose a solution. Once the customer says yes, stop. Because you can only hurt yourself from there.
Understood.
Okay, so let's go through this from a business perspective.
Okay.
You established rapport in the first second, which made you 1,000,000 times more likable. Your communication skills are exceptional.
Thank you.
Your sales skills, guess what? Really solid, and that's one of the most critical things that architects do. Executive presence, wow. Gravitas, wow. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Little shakiness on some of the databases. Not shaky on networking, not shaky on storage, not shaky on anything else. It was really, really solid. Very solid there.
Thank you,
But
Mike.
you know what else I tested? I tested your adaptability. I told you what a doctor does, and I wanted to see how fast you could create a solution. That was good. And it wasn't just a little good, it was great. Because that's what our life is.
Right.
You meet somebody in a dining room, they hear you're a cloud architect. You got 60 seconds to generate a meeting. You did it. You didn't just do it, you did it great. I mean, this was seriously solid stuff. I'm very, very happy.
Thank you, Mike. I greatly appreciate it.
Within 60 days, you're going to be hired.
You think so?
Yeah. Well, crisping up on the databases stuff.
Database.
In 99% of the cases, it's never tech. It's always business. Look, you came in, I'd have you as a VP in my company any day of the week. Look, really great, cloud hired. But within 60 days, I think you'll be hired.
Thank you very much, Mike.
That was solid, 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 and more solid, Quentin.
Thank you. I learned from the best.
Thank you. Seriously, I'm so excited. I'm so proud. You have no idea how happy I am.
Thank you. Wow.
This was really good. Really, really good. Eddie over there in Cameroon, he's even saying, wow.
Wow.
Look how far away he is.
I see. Thank you all. Thank you, Mike.
Really great job. Really great job.
Thank you very
Take
much.
that business background, leverage it, show it. We love it. That psychology background and the way you positioned it was extraordinarily good. Really good job, Quentin.
Thank you.
Look at Chris's facial expression.
I'm sitting here wondering. All right, I gotta sharpen up. I might need to be on the lookout here.
And also, Quentin, guess what? The data from Harvard shows us that verbal and nonverbal communications, 55% is what you look like when you say it. Look at that perfect suit, that perfect tie, that perfect posture. Yeah. 38% is what you sound like. Did you notice, everyone? He didn't say, my name's Quentin and I'm a technology. He made a point. He paused. He changed his vocal tone. Exceptional. 7% content, and that was awesome too. Quentin, great job. I'm so happy.
It doesn't hurt that he's got Prince in the background either.
No, it doesn't either. I always like Prince.
Prince is better than Bon Jovi. Just throwing that out there. Anybody that watched our Head in the Cloud show?
In the 80s, I really did like Bon Jovi, but then again, I did live in New Jersey for a little while too.
I have had so many people try to buy that painting off me. That was actually a gift from my girlfriend for my 27th birthday or something like that. And I've had so many people try to buy it. It is not for sale.
Yeah, I would want to buy it. It would go right next to my Beatles poster. Yeah, see, Al doesn't like me talking about Bon Jovi. All right. So good job, Quentin.
Thank you.
Great job, Quentin.
All right. So let's let Quentin go, and we will bring in our last individual. Now, I'm not sure if their camera is working, but we'll bring them in here. So we've got Tundi here.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for
Hi,
having me.
Tundi.
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing great. Where are you located today?
Well, I'm currently located in Glasgow, in the United Kingdom, in Scotland.
Oh, fantastic. Glasgow. I haven't been to Glasgow or Edinburgh in a long time. It's been about 10 years, but I had a lot of fun over there.
Yeah, you're definitely welcome at any point in time to come around. You'll love the weather.
Yes, it gets in the wintertime, it's dark all the time. But, you know, I went to consult to the Scottish Health Service. I was there for a week and I finally got a drink of scotch. So love
Yep.
it over there. It's great over there. Fantastic.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I forget, what's your background, Tundi?
Well, my background is in mechanical engineering, and over the couple of years, I've been practicing as a project manager.
Okay. Good. So let's talk about, Tundi, my
Yes.
name is Mike, and I work for the Tango Yankee Uniform India Company. And
Yeah.
we run a cloud security, a cloud consulting business.
Okay, good to know.
Could you tell me about, I'm so grateful you're here today. We have a cloud architecture division. We consult in every country. We need somebody over there in Scotland. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thanks for having me, Mike, again. And as I said before, I'm a project manager, currently project manager, but looking to become a cloud architect, definitely. And I'm working towards that. So I'm happy that your business does have a business in Scotland here with me, where you're looking to hire a cloud architect. And I'm looking forward definitely to become part of that team. My background is in engineering, and I've been trained over the years to design things and to look after customer. And moving from engineering to project management helped me further to see the helicopter view of every solution that I'm providing for a customer. So like you said, I'll be very happy and glad to join your team. Thank you.
Tundi, that's some really great information. And here's the thing. We deal with some pretty major cloud architectures which require really complicated deployments. So all my architects are going to do a little program management. Could you describe the secrets to being effective at making sure things get done on time, on budget?
Yes. The secret to getting things done on budget and in time is communication. You need to communicate from bottom to the top. You need to communicate with the CEO, communicate with the vice president, communicate with the manager, medium, higher, senior manager. So that's the secret to getting things done on time and on budget. Communication is key.
It really is. It's all about communication. So in architect world, we do a lot of selling. Have you ever had to sell your services before?
I've been privileged to do that. Definitely after moving from Nigeria to United Kingdom, I've been able to sell my services, and I've been able to get some good business out of that, working with some fantastic industries, from pharmaceutical to oil and gas to healthcare industry.
Wow, you're an immigrant. So basically you waited from Africa to Scotland. That's not an easy thing to do.
Wait, it wasn't the easiest thing to do, but it was the right decision to make, and I never looked back, and I'm enjoying it, definitely.
So I'm going to ask, because we do a lot of business in Europe as well, and also the Middle East. Do you speak other languages other than English?
Yes, I do. I speak English and I speak Yoruba as my mother language. So I'm able to communicate both ways, in business and on personal terms as well.
Fantastic. Just not, some people from Nigeria speak Arabic as well. Some people from Cameroon speak French. So I'm always looking for as many languages as possible, but we do a lot of business in Nigeria. So Yoruba would be great as well. So it's fantastic. So especially with, as you know, all the cloud computing that's going in that area, as well as Cameroon and South Africa. So fantastic. Could you tell me about your experiences with the cloud so far? What have you done on it? What have you learned? What do you know?
So far, I'm a newbie when it comes to cloud. As I mentioned at the beginning, I am an engineer with project management experience. So I'm gradually finding my way into the cloud industry. I've started looking into various certifications, but I know just the certification will not hire me. I need to understand the root of everything and how to tackle every problem that is presented to me. So I've been looking into Cisco, CCNA, which is Cisco Certified Network Administrator. I've been looking into AWS Solutions Architect. I've also been looking into Azure under the Microsoft. So I'm just looking at all these various cloud platforms to understand and how I can bring them together to forge ahead in my cloud career. That's what I've been doing currently.
I like that, and that's really great to me. So I want to gauge your competency in cloud, and I know you're new. You already told me that. So tell me the things that you know best so I can gauge your ability to learn.
I'm very enthusiastic in terms of learning. I like taking in knowledge. One of the things that drives me is knowledge, and I'll go to any extent to get the knowledge that I need on everything that I've been assigned to me. I mean, I've worked as a project manager where I've been given projects that I know nothing about. I only needed to buy a couple of books and studied extensively to be able to deliver those projects, and they were delivered in time, on quality, and as expected to the client. So, as I said, I'm an enthusiastic being, willing to learn at every point in time.
I love that. In fact, I started out in medicine before I got to tech, and I picked up a bunch of books and learned it. So I still need to gauge your competency in some technology. So could you tell me what you know best, which technologies you know best, so I can ask you about that?
Well, I'll say for now, the one I've read in a bit more about is the AWS. And I've basically been looking into the cloud practitioner exam essentials, and that's what I've been reading mostly recently before. But I've gauged, like I said, I've gauged the 3 other cloud platforms, but AWS is what I'm currently studying on.
And that's totally fine. But AWS is huge, and I can't expect anybody to know all about AWS, even someone with 25 years experience. So could you tell me what technologies? Maybe you know databases, maybe you know networking, maybe you know storage, maybe you know security. I don't care what it is, just some way for me to gauge what you know best, so I can gauge your ability to learn.
You can gauge me on identity and access management, IAM.
Okay. What is IAM?
It's an identity and access management tool with the AWS, and it's used basically to get users, groups, roles to be managed using their policies.
Okay, so I'm not really sure the difference between a user or a role. Could you explain that to me?
The user is a being that has an account with the AWS, while the role assumes the position of a user to be able to function or use a resource on AWS.
So if I've got a server that wants to connect to another server, is that a user or a role?
That's a role.
That's a role. Good. How about a user in one VPC that's connecting to another VPC? Is that a user or a role?
Sorry, come again. I didn't hear the question clearly.
So I've got a Go Cloud Careers VPC, and you've got a Tundi VPC. If we do VPC pairing and you give me, and I want to connect to you, is that a user or a role?
That would be a role.
That would be a role. Good. Across account role. Good job.
Yes.
Now, I want to create an account for me to administer my virtual machine. Am I a user or a role?
You're going to create an account for you
For
as
me,
you
personally.
Yeah. That would be a user.
That would be a user. Very good.
Yes.
So let's say I don't feel like manually entering users or roles, but my enterprise has some kind of a domain authentication system that has all this information. It's called Active Directory. Could I do something to make Active Directory work with AWS so that AWS could use my Active Directory information?
Yes, that is doable. That is possible. It can be done.
How could I do that?
It's again like one of the questions you've asked previously is assuming the position of a role to connect to the Active Directory, and that will allow the users within the Active Directory to access the resources on the AWS.
Do I use SAML 2.0 to do that, or is it a magic IP connection?
Do you use, sorry, come again about the question?
Do I use SAML Security Assertion Markup Language 2.0 to create that connection, or is it just done via an IP connectivity?
I'll use a security to connect to that.
You mean the Security Assertion Markup Language?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, I like that. So pretty solid, Tunde. You adapt pretty fast and you learn pretty quick. Is there anything else that you know like that?
No, at the moment. I'm just learning gradually, and I'm pushing myself as hard as possible to learn more on the networking as well, because I've understood that the networking side of cloud is very key. So that's my next step after the AWS, to focus on CCNA.
You know, Tunde, I have a role called an associate solution architect. What this role is, we take an architect that's got real good architecture. That's the architect, meaning a likable person that communicates well, that understands business, that understands transformation, but they're a little new. And in this program, we pay you 3/4 of an architect salary, but we send you to school for 6 months. And in this program, in those 6 months, we pay you, we teach you even better how to sell, we teach you how to polish your shoes the right way, what to say to the customer, how to do some ROI modeling. Would you be interested in something like that?
Yes, Mike, I will definitely be interested in something like that.
Okay, well, I'm going to recommend you for this program because, Tunde, you're not quite ready for my team yet, but I'd like to get you in my company because I really like you. And I know that 5 years from now, where you're going to be is up here because your energy, your enthusiasm, your motivation is really good. And I want you on my team. I can't bring you on my team yet, but I can put you on this junior team if you're interested.
Yes, Mike, I will gladly take that role up, and I can see myself walking up the ladder in a short while to become a cloud solutions architect, possibly an enterprise architect as well.
Good. Okay, so Tunde, here's the thing. I've hired you before, multiple times. And before I started this company, I interviewed 5,000 people and I heard 10 people. 3 of them were like you. One was, I'm sorry, I'll call Malvi. The other 2 were you. They were someone that had good knowledge of what they knew, but didn't know a lot of things outside of what they knew. But they knew what they knew, and they knew it well. They were likable, they were enthusiastic, they were passionate, and they communicated. I trust you completely. I can feel the honesty, integrity in you. I can feel the motivation in you. I can feel the capability in you. I can't let you leave my office and not put you on my team. If I've got somebody like you, Tunde, that walks into my office, and we're having some technical video challenges on YouTube. I'm going to change my bit rate real quick, everybody. Bear with me for a second. I can change my bit rate. Apparently, somewhere along the line, we're running into some networking challenges. Let me just change my bit rate from 7,500 megabit per second.
Mike, I think it might be just on your end.
Oh, okay. Well, if the rest of you can see YouTube, then I'm not going to do it. It looks like it was freezing still. Tunde,
Yes,
very good job. Very good attitude. Communication skills. Oh my God, I'm so happy.
Thank you.
I would actually be afraid to let you leave because I don't want you going to my competition because you're going to hurt me if you go to my competition once you get a little more skilled.
I don't want to do that. Thank you.
So, Cloud Hired, I want you to understand that identity and access management is mostly about who is the user, like identifying you. Hey, that's Tunde knocking on my front door. Like if you came from Scotland to Florida, you knocked on my front door, the identity and access management, I look in the mirror, hey, that's Tunde. And then I say, welcome in, Tunde. And I say, Tunde, you're in Florida. Here's the keys to my car. Go to the beach. Here is a room that I'd like you to stay in. Here's the keys to the kitchen. That's authorization. I allowed you to do that.
Thank you.
And then afterwards, my wife goes through the house and she checks and determines that you used 3 bottles of wine. I don't care. You took 2 steaks out of the refrigerator and we restock it. That's accounting. I determine what you've done. Tunde, you're new, so you're learning, but wow, what a great start.
Thank you.
Great start.
Thank you, Mike.
So the key is we all come from different levels and different places in different worlds. That's great. Leverage what's special about you. He speaks 2 languages. His energy, enthusiasm, and passion is incredible. Now, I know to go from Nigeria to Scotland is not easy. How hard was that? How many times did you go to the consulate?
Well, it was one-time decision. I came to Scotland first for a conference. I liked it. I went back home. spoke with my wife and my family, and we decided, you know what, United Kingdom is the next place, and we all decided to move down.
Yeah, but how hard was it to move there? What did
Oh,
you have to do to move there?
It was hard. It was hard, but there was no looking back.
But here's
That's
the
the
key.
decision.
I know that it was that hard for you to do it.
Yeah, it was hard.
If you've done something that hard, how easy it is for you to learn some cloud stuff.
No, the cloud stuff is a goal for me. Definitely, I'm going for it, and I'm no looking back.
So you've already accomplished some pretty challenging things. I was totally impressed. I know you're brand new, but what I heard today was really great. So Tunde, keep at it. 2-3 months from now, I've got some big expectations for you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Keep that attitude, that energy, that enthusiasm, that passion, those communication skills. Amazing. Great job. So let me close on a few things. Please hit the like button if you had a good time. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Hit the bell so you'll be informed of all the new free stuff that we do. I'm going to close on 3 things. We currently have a 30% off memorial discount. Get yourself cloud hired. We have an interview problem, for example, program if you're looking for mastering the interview. If you're working in tech and you're trying to get promoted, we've got our tech interview, we've got our tech career accelerator program. If you want your first cloud architect job, we've got our cloud architect career development program. And if you want your cloud engineering job because you asked for it, we hired a team and we made it. We're going to be getting everybody their cloud engineer jobs too. 30% off. The link is in the description below. Now tomorrow, we have our completely free How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar. Please join us. It's completely free. We'll tell you what the hiring managers want, what needs to be on your resume, the kind of certifications you need to build a portfolio, the things the hiring managers want, the kind of labs to do so you can get hired. Again, we're doing it tomorrow. It's free. So please join us. And please join us in June, on June 14th, the week, for the completely free Azure Solution Architect Expert Bootcamp. Get trained, get hired. Hope to see you in June. So everybody give me a hashtag where you're at. Let's give me a hashtag congratulations for all the people that put themselves out there to build their best careers and their best lives. Let's thank them. It's not easy being on camera. I do it all the time. Believe me, it's not easy. We took some wonderful people all over the world. People in South Africa, people in Scotland, people in the US, everywhere. It's so wonderful. So let's give them a round of applause. Let's thank all these wonderful people that are here that put themselves out there. And let's get you all cloud hired. Adrian, can't wait to see you in class. If you join in class, and if not, still can't wait to see you hired. Robert Welch, thanks so much. I'm thrilled you were here. Wow, Robert, you did so good. Ciao, yes, cloud hired. Aqua, it's so wonderful to see you. I wish I could see more of you. Aqua, it's so good to see you. Ruth, it's so wonderful to see you as well today. Aqua's over there in England. Tyrone's in South Africa. How are you? Bob, good to see you. Tracy, thanks you so much. I'm so happy you were here. Pawan's over there in England. Cloud hired, Pawan. Rohan's in Houston. He's doing fantastic. Brian, yes, wash hands, definitely. I think you're in Philadelphia, if I remember correctly, where I'm from. You lived in Ireland for you. That's fantastic. Mab, thank you. Wow, I actually work in Minnetonka. Is that anywhere near that for a while back? Alex in Greece. Alex, efaristo nathis. Ime efaristemenos na iso na do. Winnie in Nigeria, fantastic. Thanks so much for coming. Bob, Big D, thank you. Marie Naga, oh my God, she has the most amazing 10-year-old boy I have ever seen in my entire life. Her husband is my good friend, Alphonse. One day you got to see her 10-year-old. I think he's already a cloud architect. Saw him building S3 buckets, coding applications, impressive guy. Oh, you're part of Cloud Herders Africa, our sister family. We do a lot with that. So thrilled to see you here. Ruth over there in Maryland. Gilbert over there in England, welcome. Thank you so much, Marie. Pawan, you did great today. Oh, you're over there in Lagos. Wonderful, wonderful. Mr. Gee's over there in California. Travel with Benji, Dubai. I worked in Dubai. Loved it. Got used to stay at the Emirates Towers. One time even stayed at the Burj Al Arab. It was the most fun I ever had. I helped design and plan the Dubai Marina project, the voice data video 20 years ago. By the name, it looked like it was pretty close for Minnetonka. Fantastic. Bay Area, California. I used to fly there every week. Melanie Vision, so happy to see you. Costa Rica, Alex. So wonderful. JFK is over there in England. So too, Jazz, is good to see you in St. Paul. Thank you so much for coming. It was truly an honor and privilege to have you here. Let us know how we can help you get cloud hired.